Check, check. What's good? What's good? What's good? I am Capital. I am Capital, and this is Home Inc. TV. Hustlers on a mission every day. Sponsored by DividendsApparel.com. Whatever you do, make sure you do it Capital. Create a positive impact today and later. Fuck them haters. Get your motherfucking paper straight like that. And this is another real nigga reaction here with yours truly, Mr. Dividends himself. And today, my real nigga reaction, I like to be on a more positive vibe than what the internet is always on. So one positive vibe, way I spread positivity is through knowledge and those type of individuals, things like that. So I fuck with this nigga right, Dr. Umar. We're gonna watch his interview. I guess his most updated recent interview around current event topics, politics, presidential race, recent current events. Rest in peace to Miss Sonya Massey. And we just gonna get his intake. He's gonna get his shit. We just going on saying, I'm gonna see what's up, I'm gonna give my 1-2. Real nigga reaction. Reactions from a real nigga. Capital. And this is Home Inc. TV again. So let's load this up with Big Dog. Big Dog Dr. Umar.
Pause.
Yes, indeed. So I gotta ask you, right? About an hour ago, which is crazy, but Joe Biden, he dropped out the presidential election.
Shout out Dialogue. I'm gonna just start a say that. Shout out Dialogue. This is what we watching. Dialogue. I'll scroll down whatever. Y'all see what it is.
How you feel about that?
Yes, sir. What is my reaction to President Biden dropping out of the 2024 presidential race? I have several thoughts. Number one, we have to put this within its proper political context. The United States government is not controlled by neither the Democratic Party or the Republican Party. They are simply the public government. The president, the Congress, the Supreme Court, they are the public government. But there is a private government, and that private government includes, but is not limited to, the National Security Agency, the Trilateral Commission, the Council on Foreign Relations, the Federal Reserve, and the Bilderberger Group. And the Bilderberger Group, we need to pay particular attention to, because the Bilderberger Group, in my opinion, at this moment in history, I believe is the most influential of all of the secret societies. It was the Bilderberger Group that made Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton come to a truce back during the Obama years when he was running for president and the Democrats were struggling over whether to nominate Obama or nominate Hillary Clinton. They both had to go and sit in the Bilderberger meeting and receive their marching orders. So I found it rather interesting that President Obama has surfaced as being one of the leading Democrats who influenced President Biden to step down. There's a strong possibility that it was the Bilderberger Group who gave Barack Obama the instructions to tell his good friend Joe Biden to stand down, because they may very well have wanted the Democrats to remain in power in the White House. But I think it's crystal clear, the more we get closer to Election Day on November the 5th, it's becoming more clearer that.
Well, the Bilderberger Group is behind them stepping down for him to become president. And they're the force behind the presidency and all that. They could have just told that man to step down directly. But I got other ideas about Joe Biden and all that, but I'll get to that later.
The American public, from what I see, is more behind Donald Trump than they are behind President Biden. And I believe that the Bilderbergers may have told President Obama to instruct Donald Trump to stand down. But it gets more interesting because President Obama does not support Kamala Harris's endorsement. He said that the Democratic Party need to take a look at all of their potential contenders who could replace Joe Biden as the presidential nominee, which is kind of interesting from a personal standpoint because both he and Kamala Harris are two mixed race Africans who never really identified with Black people, and both were puppets for the white power structure. So you would think he would have a lot more in common with Kamala Harris. It could be a case of narcissism, but no matter how you look at it, I wouldn't be surprised to find out that the shadow government instructed Barack Obama to make President Biden stand down. And I'm also rather intrigued by the fact that President Biden decided to stand down on a Sunday, a non-business day, not Monday, not Tuesday, not Wednesday, not Thursday or Friday, but he did it during the weekend. That means that the shadow government found it necessary for him to be replaced right now and not a second longer. Let me make this make sense for the listening.
Duh. You know what I'm saying? That boy Trump numbers catapulted after he survived that shot. Well, no way Biden was going to win again.
Public. America is not a democracy. The people do not choose the president.
Right.
Presidents are publicly confirmed by the Electoral College. It is the Electoral College that votes for the president, not the people. Now, based on your popular vote, whoever wins the popular vote in a state generally will carry all of the Electoral College votes for that state. But the electors of that state are not required to vote for the person that won the popular vote. So, for example, you beat me in Pennsylvania for the popular vote for president of the United States. You clearly won the popular vote. The electors for the state of Pennsylvania, 99.9% of the time, will vote for you to be president because you carried the popular vote. But they are not required to do so by constitutional law. And the reason they are not required to do so by constitutional law is the United States government is not a democracy. It is a republic. It is not the rule of the majority. It is the rule of law. That's why the word democracy is not in the Constitution. The word democracy is not in the preamble. The word democracy is not in the Declaration of Independence. The word democracy cannot be found in any of the 50 state constitutions of this country. This is not a democracy. It is not the rule of the majority. It is a republic, the rule of the law. And who controls the republic? The aristocracy, the elite financial powers of this country. That's who really chooses the president. Now, if that is the case, why so much attention is put on the popular vote? Because since this is not a democracy, it is important to keep the illusion of inclusion alive and well. When people don't think they have a say in government, they overthrow it. When people don't think they have a say in government, they spark revolution. When people don't think they have a say in government, rebellions happen. So it is important for the power structure, the media, the corporate oligarchy to manipulate the American collective consciousness into voting for the person they pre-selected. It is important that the people come to the same conclusion through manipulation and indoctrination as the power structure. When the power structure chooses one president and the people choose someone else, then the illusion of a democracy begins to yield its dirty head. And that can spell trouble for maintaining the status quo and the social order. For example, in our lives, we've seen twice where a presidential candidate who won the popular vote lost the White House. Al Gore won the popular vote. George Bush won the White House. Hillary Clinton won the popular vote. Donald Trump won the White House. They can't keep letting that happen, because the more and more that the people choose one person and the power structure choose another, when people start to see that we really don't control this government, we really don't choose our leaders, they start to rebel. And that's why so much energy is put into the popular vote, because it needs to confirm the selection.
And that's why niggas ain't rebelling. Because a rebellion was supposed to have been happening. A rebellion, like the rise of the people and shit. That happened. Especially for niggas. But I know this shit been again, like, for real. Fun fact, in a confession, you could call this a capital confession moment. Capital confession moment. Confession is by capital. I have never voted. I believe I may have attempted to vote, but not for the president. Did I vote? Okay. If I voted, I probably voted for that one election with Obama, but I didn't vote for him. I voted for something. Oh, the legalization in my state. I had to think about what I voted for. That's the only thing I ever voted for. Weed legalization, dude. Let's begin rolling this blunt. That's the only thing I ever voted for. I ain't never voted for the president because I already know this shit a game. The president's just a face and they don't really control shit. And if you think about it, if a nigga really, when John F. Kennedy or any president go against some shit and try to do something for some people for real, they'll get whacked for real. So, you know what I'm saying?
Election of the secret government. Now, with that being said, who do I think the power structure wants in the White House at this moment? Because they normally select presidents a couple years in advance, by the way.
Lincoln,
at least 4 years, they already know who's going to take the place. They leave nothing up to chance. I'm not sure who they want. And the reason I'm conflicted is because they made Joe Biden stand down. A part of me says that they wanted Biden, but he's not popular enough to carry the popular vote. Again, maintaining that illusion of democracy. And so part of me says they wanted Joe Biden.
I'm going to just go ahead and say, I think Joe Biden died a year and a half, 2 years ago. And they got a clone in there standing in that looked like him, all that shit. Like, I seen tremendous movies with makeup and all of that shit that change people out. Like, I didn't make somebody look. That somebody look a certain way and shit. It definitely got the tools necessary to hide a nigga away for a while until we could get him out this bitch safely and not have this woman vice president as president taking over and shit like that. Bet you that. That my dog, because he can piss me off.
But he's no longer popular enough to hold the popular vote. So to keep the illusion of democracy alive, we got to tell Barack Obama to tell him to stand down. Let's put somebody else in that spot and see if they can carry it. That's a part of me. The other part of me could see a Donald Trump. And the reason another part of me could see a Donald Trump is Donald Trump and Republican presidents in general are pretty good for war. They're very good for sparking up war. But although they're good for war, they are poor at building relationships with second and third world nations. Why am I bringing that up? China is on the rise. China is on the global takeover. Can Donald Trump build the relationships with South Africa? Can he build the relationships with Nigeria and Cameroon? Can Donald Trump build the relationships with Ethiopia and Egypt that the shadow government needs America to have so they can continue to go into the mother continent and freely exploit the resources? I'm not sure Donald Trump is the president to build those political relationships with Africa, Jamaica, Brazil, so forth and so on. I'm not sure he's good for that. And if he's not good for that, if the shadow government doesn't believe Donald Trump is good enough to build those diplomatic relationships so white corporate America can continue to rob the resources of the black nations of this world, then they might choose resources over war. It's really going to come down to whether or not the shadow government values the Chinese threat more or the need to make money in war more. In other words, is this election more about the ability to dominate other people, or is it more about being diplomatic and being able to build relationships with Africa so you can exploit them diamonds, that gold, that silver, that gas, that oil? So I'm not sure which way the shadow government is tipping its hat because I'm not in those meetings, but I'll tell you what will help me make a better decision as to who they want in the White House. When I see who the final Democratic nominee is, if it's not going to be Kamala Harris, and who will be the vice presidential nominee for the presidential nominee. In other words, let me see who the Democrats end up with for president, and let me see who that Democratic presidential nominee is.
We all know. We all know it's gonna be Kamala. Gonna be the goddamn Democratic candidate. Like, let's be for real, bro. This been a woman's like run for the last 2 years, 3, however long they been doing this. That I'm telling you. Probably when Joe Biden died, they put shit in order, make it look like all right. Oh, get your ass out my face. My bad, man. I was talking to my dog crazy, but he don't be listening, man.
Ends up with for their vice president, and then I could probably give you a better idea as to whether or not the shadow government wants the Democratic president or the Republican president.
Love and Hip Hop Atlanta is dropping its first cast album.
I want to put this album together.
And what they talking about
with real artists.
What they talking about with this war shit? I think that shit that Donald Trump like surviving that, shot out all that propaganda shit with him supposedly getting attempted murder, a murder attempt on his head. And you talking about war? Donald Trump will be the motherfucking president for that, boy. I don't know if y'all, that's this how it's gonna go. Nobody gonna let. I ain't even gonna say that, but you know what the fuck I'm.
Dude, you personally, who do you want to see represent the Democrats?
Nobody, because I don't see anyone when I look at the U.S. senators, when I look at the U.S. representatives, when I look at, I think we only have 1 or 2 black governors, the brother down in Maryland, and he's a freshman. So I doubt if they'll anoint him and pull another Barack Obama stunt where they snatched Obama out the U.S. Senate as a first-term senator and made him president. That's because George Bush destroyed America's relationship with Africa. Barack Obama became necessary because of George Bush's poor diplomatic relationship with Africa. So they said, here's a black man who alleges to have a Kenyan father. If we put Barack Obama in the White House, we can go into Africa, get them resources back, install our military system in Africa. And that's exactly what they did. Barack Obama was a supreme success for the white power structure in Africa. That's why they chose him. And just like George Bush made Obama necessary, Obama made Donald Trump necessary domestically, because Americans domestically got tired of hearing Barack Obama's rehearsed, pre-scripted answers to every question he was given. When Donald Trump came, sounding like a fool, but speaking from his heart, that endeared him to Americans who are sick and tired of the political game. They just want a genuine leader, even if he doesn't always make the right mistakes. So Bush made Obama necessary, Obama made Trump necessary, and then Trump made Biden necessary, and now Biden, it appears, may once again be making Trump necessary. But for me, I don't see anyone on the blue aisle or the red aisle that's speaking to the issues that affect American Africans. The George Floyd police reform bill still hasn't been passed. Nobody's talking about that. We don't have any anti-Black hate legislation at all. We have no economic empowerment legislation for Black people at all. Nothing about mass incarceration, nothing about miseducation, nothing about gentrification, nothing about police genocide. I'm sure you saw the situation that happened not too long ago with the sister in Springfield, Illinois, who was shot in the face 3 times maybe by a white deputy in her home, shot and murdered her in cold blood in her home. And we still don't have any anti-hate legislation or the George Floyd Police Accountability Act. And I don't think either candidate, President Biden or President Trump, has spoken to that. Now, let's say Kamala Harris walks in.
Are they pussy?
My question would be, how is Vice President Kamala Harris any better for Black men in America than Donald Trump? How is she any better for Black men in America than President Biden? President Biden may have drafted Bill Clinton's 1994 crime bill, but Kamala Harris did all she could to implement Bill Clinton's 1994 crime bill. Look at all the Black people that Kamala Harris had arrested and thrown in jail while she served as a prosecutor over in California. So in my opinion, if the Democratic Party wants the Black male vote, I'm not too sure they get it with Kamala Harris, but I know what she's going to do. She's going to do exactly what the Republicans just did in Milwaukee with our sister Amber Rose and with Hulk Hogan. Wait till you see the Europeans who are going to speak at the Democratic National Convention. It's going to be a complete circus. I'm telling you what they're going to do. I believe they're going to grab the rappers and they're going to grab the athletes. They're going to find someone extremely popular within the hip hop industry and the entertainment world to speak for Kamala Harris or whomsoever the Democratic Party convention nominates. I promise you, because they have to outdo Hulk Hogan and they have to outdo Amber Rose. Now, with that being said, let me speak to both of them quickly. Hulk Hogan. When I was a 4th and 5th grader right here in Philadelphia, growing up in elementary school, I was a Hulk Hogan fan. Anytime Hulk Hogan came to wrestle at the Spectrum in Philadelphia, I was there. I had the dolls. I had the belt. We used to make them out of cardboard and aluminum foil. I had all the wrestling magazines. I don't think there was a stronger Hulk Hogan fan in elementary school back in those days. Since then, what have we learned? In 2007, I believe it was, Hulk Hogan was caught on tape calling his daughter's Black boyfriend the N-word. He was subsequently dismissed from the WWE Hall of Fame in 2015. They reinstated him a few.
Come on, man. Hulk Hogan is saying, come on, brother. Brother, this man, what the fuck think that brother shit was?
years later because they claimed he apologized and worked on himself and all these other lies. So guess what happens a couple weeks ago? A couple days ago, this Black sister alleges that Hulk Hogan fired her from being a brand ambassador for his new Great American beer. So he has some beer he's selling.
Damn.
Somehow a black woman gets hired to be a brand ambassador for Hulk Hogan. And he fires her once he finds out she's black. Now, his public relations manager claims, who is black, that he can't be a racist because after all, he hired me. And of course, we know that that's complete nonsense. But here's the issue. For Donald Trump and the Republican National Committee to bring Hulk Hogan to Milwaukee, a city that is predominantly black. African people are the largest ethnic group in the city of Milwaukee. You brought Hulk Hogan to Milwaukee for the Republican National Convention when he fresh off an allegation of racism. You know what that tells me? That they don't care about black people, which we already know, but it also shows you that they are bold and unapologetic in not giving a damn about black people. How do you bring a confirmed racist, Hulk Hogan, to a black city, Milwaukee, to speak for Donald Trump if you care at all what black people think? And what did Hulk Hogan say in his closing statements? Hulk Hogan specifically said, you criminals, you scumbags, you lowlifes, and you drug dealers. Criminals, drug dealers. Criminals, drug dealers. Doesn't that sound like the same rhetoric that George Bush used to get elected? That's the same rhetoric George Bush Sr. used to get elected. See, so Donald Trump is digging back in the Republican Party playback, and they're weaponizing race against black people with the criminal and lowlife, because we all know what color. They're not thinking about white folks when they hear criminal, and they're not thinking about white folks when they hear lowlife. So he's literally criminalizing black people to get elected while black people are running around thinking he's the best thing since sliced bread. Now, let me go to my sister, Amber Rose. Sister Amber reached out to me a couple months ago to do an interview, which we may do. That'll be completely up to her. I told her I'm willing to do it. I was interviewed on Power 99 FM, Philadelphia's #1 hip hop and R&B station, a few days ago. And the question came up, did I see Amber Rose's Republican National Convention speech? And I had not seen it, but Sister Roxy, shout out to Roxy and Mikey Dread, Power 99, Sister Roxy talked about how she felt that Amber Rose never really identified as a black woman. I said, well, in my conversation with Sister Amber Rose, she very much affirmed the fact that she was African. And Sister Roxy said, nah, Doc, you're going to have to do some research. So after my interview on Power 99 the other day, I went home and I did some research. First of all, I watched Sister Amber's RNC speech from Milwaukee. I watched it. And Sister Roxy had alluded to an interview Amber did 9 years ago in 2015 when she said, and I did hear her say, that I am not a black woman or I do not identify as a black woman. So Sister Roxy was correct. Amber did say that. But in defense of her, I said, which is the same thing I said to the Kendrick supporters when they came at Drake for wearing the blackface. I'm the most unapologetically black man you're going to find in this country. At the same time, I understand people have to evolve their political consciousness. So what I said to Roxy and what I'm saying to you is, if Amber Rose said I don't identify as a black woman 9 years ago or so, but she has since come into the consciousness and now embraces her Africanity, I can forgive her for her coonish behavior 9 years ago. If Drake comes to me and says, yeah, Doc, I put on the blackface, I make jokes about black people because I was primarily raised in a Jewish household and I kind of saw myself as white, but I've evolved since then and I know I'm a black man, I can forgive him for his previous coonish behavior. My thing is this: if Amber Rose considers herself a black woman now, I can't hold her to that. She's still responsible for what she said, but she don't get canceled because she's grown. If Drake says I did that, but I now consider myself a black man, I can't cancel him because at least he has evolved. All of us suffer from post-traumatic slavery disease. All of us suffer from post-traumatic colonization disease. We all have it. So a mixed race African might have it a little more. But if they've made amends with their own soul, if they've made amends with their own African ancestors, if they've made amends with their own selves, and they're saying, I stand before you now, Dr. Umar, as an unapologetically African woman, Amber Rose, or an unapologetically African man in Drake, I can accept them. So with that being said, nothing Amber Rose said in her speech in Milwaukee the other day, I found to be disrespectful or towards Black people, or should I say warranting of a cancellation. Nothing she said I felt was warranting of a cancellation. Did I agree when she said, these are my people and this is where I belong? I absolutely don't agree with Amber Rose when she said, these are my people and this is where I belong. I absolutely didn't agree with Amber Rose when she said, quote, and I may be paraphrasing, when she said, the best thing we can do for the future of our babies is to elect Donald Trump. I would have to ask my sister, whose babies are we talking about? Because Donald Trump just executed 5 Black men who were babies to their parents at one time. So whose babies are we talking about? Donald Trump hasn't introduced any legislation, executive orders to deal with the police extinction of Black men. He ain't dealt with miseducation. Donald Trump done nothing about mass incarceration. And who's being mass incarcerated? Our Black babies. Who's being exterminated by these police? Our Black babies. Who's being miseducated in these schools? Our Black babies. So when Sister Amber Rose says, if we care about the future of our babies, we will elect Donald Trump, I cringed on that. I completely disagreed with her on that. But did she say anything that I feel will warrant her to be canceled from the Black community if she does, in fact, identifies as a Black woman? Nothing she said I felt went far enough to cancel her. It would be no different than if somebody went up there and sung Joe Biden's praises, or one of these rappers who's going to get up in Chicago and sing Kamala Harris's praises, or whoever the DNC chooses. So for me, people saying Amber Rose need to be canceled for speaking at the RNC, nothing she said I felt warranted a cancellation, but I do need her to clarify her racial identity. Now, I'm gonna say this last point on my sister. In her defense, we were communicating via text. And of course, I never share my text messages with public figures. And I'm only sharing this because I don't think she minds me saying this. Sister Amber told me in confidence through text message, the reason she identified as mixed race is because she had been told by Black people her whole life that because she had a Black mother and a white father, she could not consider herself Black. She said she had been told that if she had a white mother and a Black father, that she had been told that the man dictates the race of the child. And she said that she was led to believe by us, by Africans in America. And of course, she's from right here in Philadelphia, as am I. But she was led to believe by us that because her father was white and not Black, she could not identify as one of us. Now, assuming she's being honest, and I have no reason to believe she's not, assuming Sister Amber is being honest, I can't fault her if we made her to feel that she was not Black. Guess why? I talked to a lot of mixed race Africans. And as you know, Art, I think we've had this conversation before. With Pan-Africanists, we believe in a one-parent rule. One parent. If your mother Black or your father Black, as long as you identify full-time, we accept you as African. That's how it was for the most honorable Marcus Garvey. That's how it was for Kwame Nkrumah. That's how it was for Patrice Lumumba. That's how it was for Robert Sobukwe. That's how it was for Bishop Henry McNeil Turner, Major Dr. Martin Robinson Delaney, Bishop Alexander Crummell, Edward Wilmot Blyden, going back almost 300 years. If you were mixed and you consider yourself one of us, you had a black parent, you were one of us. And that's what I told Sister Amber in response. We haven't talked since then, okay? But all I'm saying is to clear the air. If black people made her feel that way, and there is sufficient proof that they did. Why do I say that, Art? Because right now we're dealing with this multiracial thing. You have American Africans saying that if your mama black and your daddy white, you not black. Or if your mama white and your daddy black, you not black. Or if either parent is not black, you not black. So there is evidence. I know for a fact that what she's saying is true. Is it true for her? Is she just making that up? I'm not going to put that on her. She spoke to me in confidence. I believe she told me the truth in confidence. But yet and still, just like Drake, Sister Amber is going to have to publicly declare whether or not you identify as a black first woman like Drake, black first man, or whether y'all want to be considered mixed race. And I don't support mixed race, because when a black person tells me they're mixed race, Art, what they're telling me is I may not be good enough to be white, but I'm too good to be black. And that is why I do not identify with people who call themselves mixed race. Now, to clarify, Art, I don't care if they say I'm mixed race for the purpose of making sure people know I have non-African parentage. In other words, if I'm identify myself as mixed race, so people understand my biological ancestral origin.
Damn, I'm thinking, goddamn. That shit just fucked with me. I got a cousin. His mama white or Italian. I always used to fuck with him and say he like a Mexican. Damn, I'm just thinking about it because I'm thinking now, like, nah, because he fucked with me. Oh, I know that nigga. Look, that's my little brother. For real. That's my little. I helped raise that nigga. Like, that's my little. Nigga. So I don't like. Damn. Good to be black. I'm just wondering. I'm trying to analyze. I'm thinking about my little cousin, his marriage, how he used to act. Like if he was like, nah, he got a white girlfriend. I just understand. I already know. I understand. That's how I go. I don't know. I got to think about that.
That's cool. I'm talking socially, politically, professionally, culturally. How do you identify? And if they say mixed race over black, I couldn't consider Amber Rose or Drake my brother or my sister, but I believe they are both black first. And being black first doesn't mean you have to reject your white parent, your white family, your white ancestry. Just like when my brother Charlemagne told me the other day on the Breakfast Club, he said, well, Drake says he's a Jew. I ain't got a problem with that. He came from a Jewish mother. Just because he admits he's Jewish doesn't mean he rejects being black.
All right, he lost him. All right, ain't Jewish, like, ain't that really a religion? Not Jewish, Christian, Muslim, or is Jewish a race? Where the fuck do Jewish people come from? Jerusalem? Because Jewish people study Judaism. He just fucked me up with that because can't Jews be black? Ain't it when Jews? Let's not go down that rabbit hole.
But if he's pushing I'm Jewish all day and I never hear I'm a black man.
I'm not going there because I want to create a positive impact. I don't want to get shut down before I got there and get started with my positivity. Know what I'm saying? But I'm just saying, wasn't like being Jewish means you study a religion, or am I wrong? Somebody let me know. I need to know. Tell me, am I wrong? Jewish, a race of white people, is it supposed to be a race of white people? Or did they try to make it that way over time? White shit? Ain't no such thing as black Jews. Damn. So can
And until it's time to show up to the BET Awards, then I have a problem with that.
Yeah, that's real talk. But can you imagine how that Democrat convention gonna be, man? Like, can you imagine that, yeah?
It's going to be a circus, brother. It is going to be a circus. Now, let me give you this art about the Democratic convention in Chicago. And I hope Black Chicago turn it out, because Kamala Harris is going to push the same initiatives as Joe Biden. She's going to continue to purge Black America with brown migrants. She's going to continue to do that. Let us be clear. The migrant crisis was a Democratic initiative. So all these Black people going to run over to Kamala Harris. They better keep in mind that the Democratic agenda is to purge America of Black with brown migrants. Are we sure we want that? But I'm going to be honest.
And I'm going to give you some more information you might not know. They're giving them all free healthcare and all a whole bunch of benefits that niggas can't even qualify for. Message.
Honest, Art, no matter how you look at it.
This game, you're not ready for.
When you look at Donald Trump wanting to give the police complete immunity, police can never be held responsible again for criminally neglect behavior while carrying out their officer duties.
Why the fuck? Who vote for what?
We can't swallow that. Donald Trump will basically make Black America a police state if he gives them complete immunity. At the same time, you got the Democrats taking care of every other group in America but Black people. You can't win, Art. And when Negroes say, who?
But shit, to really change for our kids, but niggas gonna have to die by it. It's gonna really have to be casualties. I hit something.
Donald Trump will basically make Black America a police state if he gives them complete immunity. At the same time, you got the Democrats taking care of every other group in America but Black people. You can't win, Art. And when Negroes say, who do we vote for? The lesser of the two evils. Which one is the lesser of the two? Which one is lesser? I can't tell which one is lesser. They're both bad. They're both bad. We know Kamala Harris don't like Black men, because she made her whole career locking them up. She's married to a white man. And let me say this, Art. This could backfire on the Democratic Party. I'm going to tell you why. To white America, Kamala Harris to them is Barack Obama with a female's face. Even though Obama has not endorsed her. And I'm going to be honest with you, Art, that could be politically motivated. Barack Obama may publicly be saying he doesn't endorse VP Kamala Harris for president of the United States, so it doesn't appear to the American people that she will simply be Barack Obama's puppet on strings. In other words, that could be a chess move. I'm going to tell the American.
Wasn't she on the phone with Obama and Michelle, some shit like that? That was probably just some shit that they put out or something.
American public, I don't support her, so it doesn't look like I'm the one making all the decisions, when the truth of the matter is a Kamala Harris White House might be a Barack Obama White House wearing a skirt.
Speaking of Kamala, right? How do you feel about her? Because I know you made a comment earlier saying that she don't claim her black side.
House nigga, just like Barack Obama, they do what they need to do to stay close to the white power structure. She made a career locking up black people. This is the same woman who went on international television, Art, let me remind you, about a year or two ago and said, America is not a racist country. You want me to go vote for a so-called black woman who went on international television and told the world that America is not a racist country? She spit in the face of the family of Trayvon Martin. She spit in the face of the family of Breonna Taylor. She spit in the face of the family of Michael Brown, Alton Sterling, Philando Castile, Amir Locke, Dante. We can go on and on. Tamir Rice, all the Africans murdered by police, which are state-sanctioned executions. Let us be clear. The police are agents of the state. When the police kills a black person, that is a state-sponsored execution. And in response to all this racism, the execution of George Floyd, this part-time black woman says America is not racist. And when I say part-time, Art, I'm not poking fun at her because she's being mixed race. I want to be clear. I'm poking fun at her because she can rarely be found speaking up for black people. My issue ain't her being mixed race. Nobody's responsible for how they come into this world. My issue with her is not identifying with her people. I remember another interview I saw with Kamala Harris, Art, and she said, somebody asked her, what are y'all going to do for black people? And she said, we can't pass laws just for black people. She said this, we can't do things just for black. Well, Kamala Harris, can I ask you a question, Madam Vice President?
And
If the Democratic Party can't do anything just for black people, why did y'all pass a law only for Asians? Why did y'all pass a law only for Native Americans? Why did y'all pass a law only for transgenders? Why did y'all pass a law only for LGBTQs? Why did y'all pass a law only for immigrants? If you can't do anything just for black people, this is what she said. It came out of her mouth. If you can't do anything just for black people, how was it possible for you and President Biden to do all these other things for specific ethnic groups in this country from whose benefit no other group can take anything from? Complete contradiction. Kamala Harris is not for black people. But you know what's going to happen? I'm going to tell you why they went that way. Or if they stay that way, they could flip her out. But let's say, for the sake of conversation, because Joe Biden did pass her his nomination, even though it's not his decision. She has his support, but the party got to choose her in Chicago. But let's say Kamala Harris gets the Democratic Party nomination in Chicago the week of my birthday, August 19th, I believe the DNC begins, or the 17th.
Already.
Anyhow, here's why they're going to go that way, Art. Why are the Democrats about to give us the first woman president in American history? I'm going to tell you why. In 2022, there were 10 million more women registered to vote than men in America. Now, I'm talking everybody, Art. Black, white, red, yellow, brown, gay, straight, everybody. There were 10 million more women registered to vote than men, even though there's only about 3 more million women than men in this country. Population-wise, there's not a great gender disparity. You only see that when you come to the black community for reasons of extermination, incarceration, miseducation, right? And sexual confusion, right? So outside of Black America, the male-female gender balance is almost the same. I believe there's 168 million adult women in America, and there's about 165 million adult men in America. So you only have a 3 million person discrepancy. Now, those 10 million votes, there's 10 million more women registered to vote than men are. Elections have been decided by votes less than 10 million. You've had elections decided by 1 million. You had elections decided by 2 million. You've had elections decided by 3 million. You've had elections decided by 700,000 votes. If there's 10 million more women registered to vote than men in America across all race, colors, and class, if we nominate Kamala Harris as the Democratic Party's president, can she bring us those women votes, those undecided women? Can Kamala Harris bring us all the poor Black women, the working class Black women, the
And they
upper
will
class?
do
Can
it.
she bring us the white middle class women? Can she bring us the poor white women? They are banking on the fact
That would
that
be
there's 10 million more women than men registered. And if we
amazing.
stick Kamala Harris out there for us, can she bring us the greater share
Right.
of those 10 million female votes? Here's what it's going to come down to. Do white women prefer a woman of color or a white man? That's what it's going to do. White American women prefer to have a white man in the presidency or a woman of color? And you know what I think, Art? I'm not completely decided, but I would say to you, wasn't this question already answered for us when Donald Trump took on Hillary Clinton? Did not America's white women choose Trump over Clinton? When it came time for the Electoral College to cast them votes, they went with Trump. So if they chose Trump over Clinton, here's the question, Art. If American white women chose Donald Trump over Hillary Clinton the first time Trump ran against a Democratic female, why would they switch and choose Kamala Harris over Trump the second time? If they chose Trump over a very well experienced, very popular Hillary Clinton the first time, why would they switch and now choose a Black woman, half Black, half South Asian, half East Indian? Why would they choose a Black woman over Trump when they didn't even choose Hillary Clinton over Trump? But I'm telling you this, brother, I'm going to the Democratic National Convention. I'm going to try to get there because that's going to be a circus. You ain't seen a Nick show in your life like what you're about to see, because they got to outdo Hulk Hogan. They got to outdo Amber Rose. They got to outdo Ben Carson. You want to see a house spoon show in Chicago like you have never seen. I cannot wait to see which rapper. I cannot wait to see which rapper, which basketball player, which football player, which comedian, which actor. I cannot wait to see which one of these house Nick celebrities is going to go to bat for the Democratic Party. And here's my thing, Art. I'm not dismissing the Black celebrities for speaking at the Democratic National Convention just for that reason. I'm dismissing them, Art, because they're going to go up there, show up and show out for the Democrats without a single promise to their community, without a single pledge to their community, without a single concession to their community. With all we've been through and all we're about to go through, how the hell can you fly your ass to Chicago, basketball player, football player, rapper, actor, dancer, singer, comedian? How can you go up there and show up and show out for Kamala Harris, who never did a damn thing for Black people? That's my issue. And I'm going to tell you this right now. Every Black person listening to me, on November the 5th, you need to be in a Black community when the election results are read. My bougie nigga living in the suburbs, living in an all-white community, you do not want to be caught outside on November the 5th if Donald Trump loses. Because here's my thinking, Art. We only got 3 months and a few weeks to the presidential election. Let me say that again. We only got 3 months and a few weeks to the presidential election on November 5th. You mean to tell me Joe Biden backs out with 3 months left, anoints Kamala to his spot? She only got 3 months to campaign, and you still going to beat a very popular Donald Trump? Do you think the American people are going to believe Donald Trump lost fairly after y'all tried him in court, convicted him in court, And I know we'll get later to the artificial assassination, but nonetheless, do you really think Americans are going to believe Kamala Harris beat Donald Trump straight up? I'm not too sure about that. And if poor white America thinks they were robbed of this election, that January 6th takeover, that was nothing but a pool party for what you're about to see in this country if Donald Trump loses this election. I would not want to be a black person in a white neighborhood on November the 5th, 2024, when those presidential election results are read and Donald Trump is not the winner. I believe white folks are going to show up and show out art. You better have a gun, a knife. Black people better exercise, what is it, our Second Amendment rights? Right to carry, is that the Second Amendment or the Fourth?
I want to say the second.
I think it's the second. Black folks better exercise their right to carry. You better buy every gun, every bullet you got, because if Donald J. Trump loses this election, going against a Democrat who had 3 months to run, you had 3 months to run and you beat Donald Trump, white America gonna flip off, Art. I'm going to make sure I'm ready, brother. Make sure you're ready. And I want all my American Africans out there, wherever you live in America, especially if you're in a city that's predominantly white, if you're in a state that's predominantly white. You know, we in Philly, which is half black, half white, 50-50. You know what I mean? But black people, please be prepared for what can happen on these streets if Donald J. Trump loses that election. And to that point, Art, this is why I think the shadow government has a lot of deciding and a lot of reasoning and a lot of debating to do. Because here's the thing, Art. If you steal the election from Trump and give it to the Democratic Party, whether it's Kamala or anyone else, because you want to make sure China doesn't take over Africa, and you want to make sure China doesn't take over the Caribbean, and you want to make sure China doesn't take over second and third world, Central and South America. So you want a Democrat in there because Democrats have always had better relationships with black countries. If you do that, you might win the world, but you might lose America. Because if these white folks flip out, Art, look, let's be honest. The American public has more weapons than the American military. Let me say that again. The American public, 350 million people, they have more guns than the U.S. military. Now, the military has better weapons.
Right. They got better weapons. Now, that's exactly what I was going to say. They have better weapons, advanced weapons, high technological weapons. The weapons that they got, but niggas do got some weapons now. The weapons they got ain't like them. I seen a video nigga was trying to prank some niggas. And this nigga pulled out a rocket launcher, RPG on a nigga. Nigga was fucking with it, like, nah, it's just a prank, That boy turned around, that nigga pulled RPG out his pants, turned around. Oh, y'all niggas trying to blow up, huh? Y'all finna blow up for real. Whoa, what are, like, the fuck? But niggas got, the American public definitely do have more than the army or military because there's more of us. Mainly, what I think.
The military has better weapons, but the people have more weapons. American military is no more than 500,000 people, Art. There's no more than 500,000. How are you going to put 500,000 against 350 million with more weapons? You're not winning that. If the U.S. military has to go to war with her own citizens, I believe the U.S. military will lose. And I believe a lot of people in the U.S. military will side with the American people. And by American people, I mean white American people. So the National Security Agency, the Council on Foreign Relations, the Bilderbergers, the Federal Reserve, the Trilaterals, the Illuminati, the House of Rome, the Rothschilds, the Wahlbergs, the Morgans, the Stanleys, the Rockefellers, they got to ask themselves, if we rob Donald Trump so we can maintain Africa and the Caribbean, will that lead to social unrest in America? Will America degenerate into chaos? Will we have to evoke martial law? That's a hell of a decision to make. Do I go for the resources or do I maintain American status quo? Because Art, if America breaks down internally, China is the new superpower. The only thing keeping China from being the world superpower right now is this country. If this country descends into chaos, China runs the world. Does the power structure, does the secret government of this country really want China in charge? That's the question.
Yeah, that's real talk. And speaking of Kamala, that's Montel Williams' old joint, right?
I believe they dated. I believe they dated.
Here they go.
But you know, politics and entertainment, those two worlds are very similar. And what I mean by that, people often date and compromise themselves to the top. I mean, the fact that Kamala Harris couldn't find a single black man to marry. I mean, you got to think about this. See, Art, you know, when we start talking about that snow bunny crisis, right? I'm not sure if people really see how deep this goes. See, if Art marries a white woman, it ain't just about you marrying a white woman. You married her culture. You married her values. You married her family. You married her race. Not only that, you're saying I couldn't find a single black woman on the face of the earth who was good enough to make my wife. When Kamala Harris married that white man, she basically told every black man on earth, none of you are good enough to be my equal. But guess what, Art? Don't be surprised that this whole thing was set up from the beginning by the shadow government. Don't be surprised. It could have been in the playbook 8 years ago that we're going to make Joe Biden step down on a Sunday. No way. No way. That could have been in the playbook to anoint Kamala. And you say, why? Why do they want Kamala Harris? You know why? India is a world superpower. India is a world superpower. India is the tech giant of the planet Earth. She has one of the top 5 populations in the world. She's one of the most influential governments on Earth. And America cannot afford for Russia and China to draft India. And now America has to deal with a 3-headed monster. China is already one of the most populated nations in the world and is also one of the most economically powerful countries in the world. India is economically powerful. India has one of the large world populations. And just like China is the Walmart of the world, India is the tech giant of the world. So this could possibly be a play by the power structure to use Kamala Harris to go into India and try to use her diplomatic power to bring India back to America. Because remember, India is a BRICS country. India is in with Brazil, Russia, India, China, South America. She already in BRICS, but she hasn't formally said, I'm riding with China against America. India hasn't formally said, I'm riding with Russia against America. If India decides to ride with Russia and China, America over, we might as well all move out. And that's why I can see this as a diplomatic move. Given the East Indians an American president, that's a hell of a consolation prize. Think about that now. I made one of you the president of our country to stop you from riding with Russia and China. It's a hell of a consolation prize. And let me say this to all my black women out there, because I love my Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority sisters. I love the pink and green. And I know Kamala Harris is a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. But this is what I want to say to my AKA sisters and all black women. Not just my AKA sisters who I love and respect, tremendous respect for the AKAs and all the sororities, the whole divine nine. But if black women think Kamala Harris is going to get in office and take care of them, if black women think Kamala Harris is going to get in office and take care of them, or they got something else coming. You know what she's going to take care of? Her East Indian immigrants. You think East Indian immigrants are already buying up a lot of the franchise restaurants and franchise stores? They're already buying up a lot of the hotel chains in America. Let Kamala Harris become vice president. By the time she's done, if she can get 8 years, If she can get 8 years, by the time Kamala Harris is done being president of the United States of America, the East Indian people will be the priority minority in this country. Not the homosexuals, not black people, not Latinos. Let Kamala Harris get that White House. The East Indian American will be the priority minority by the time she leaves the Oval Office.
Yeah, I can see that. But I got to ask you about Trump. How you feel about his assassination attempt?
I believe the Donald Trump assassination attempt was completely staged, completely fabricated, and completely artificial. And I'm going to tell you why. Whenever there is a state execution, there's always a backup killer. JFK had a backup killer. Dr. King had a backup killer. Every time they want to take somebody out, there's a backup killer. If the first shooter missed, the second shooter hit. They leave nothing to chance. You're not going to convince me that somebody wanted to kill Donald Trump here in Pennsylvania on July 13th while Kamala Harris was downtown Philadelphia on the campaign trail. And it was a lone 20-year-old on a roof. This is what they want you to believe. A 20-year-old nerd got up on the roof with no help, no support, no comrades, and tried to take out former President Donald Trump. You know what that sounds like, Art? That sounds exactly like the story they gave us of the Dr. King assassination. What did they tell us? James Earl Ray acted alone, climbed up in the building, and shot Dr. King above a grassy knoll. And we believed that story for a quarter of a century until what happened, Art? The late Queen Mother Coretta Scott King, God rest her soul, and her children, Dr. King's children, and their white lawyer, William Pepper, sued in U.S. court and proved in court. This is official record, Art. Anybody can check it out. Dr. King was assassinated by the U.S. government. James Earl Ray had nothing to do with it. Dr. King was assassinated by the U.S. government. James Earl Ray had nothing to do with it, so much so that Dr. King's family tried to help James Earl Ray get out of jail. They knew he was so innocent, Art. They tried to help him get out of jail. But when you go to the National Civil Rights Museum in Memphis, when you go to the National Civil Rights Museum in Memphis where Dr. King was murdered, because, you know, they turned that hotel into the National Civil Rights Museum. Best museum in the country, by the way. But when you go there, what does the information still say in the museum? James Earl Ray shot Dr. King across the street up in that window, even though it's already been proven in court that the FBI and the U.S. military killed Dr. King. Dr. King was assassinated by a sharpshooter from the Memphis Police Department. A sharpshooter from the Memphis Police Department, and the Green Berets of the U.S. Army was the backup shooters. The Green Berets of the U.S. Army were the backup shooters. That's who killed Dr. King, not James Earl Ray. And now here they running the same playbook. Look at it, same playbook. A 20-year-old nerd climbed up on the roof and shot President Trump. And let me get this right. National Security Agency couldn't see him. CIA couldn't see him. Secret Service couldn't see him. FBI couldn't see him. Homeland Security couldn't see him. Come on, man. Y'all got satellites that could spot a fly on the ground.
Sure, fuck that.
So you got satellites that can spot a mosquito on the wall. But y'all couldn't spot a 20-year-old nerd with a rifle on the roof. Who's believing that? And then check it out, Art. When Donald Trump allegedly gets hit in the ear, if you that close, you pop off again with a second shot. If you hit him that close, you pop it off with a second shot. Why didn't he use a semi-automatic to begin with? But here's the other question. Why didn't they cover Donald Trump's head? So somebody wanted to take you out. You just got shot in the ear, and your head is still up, not bigger. You walk down the steps with your head exposed. Come on, Art. Who do you know? Listen, if you in the hood and somebody shoot, what's the first thing you do? Duck down. In the hood, you're going to duck down. So you running for president of the United States. You just got shot in your ear, and they still leave your head exposed almost the entire time he was on the rostrum, going down the steps, and Donald Trump even stood up and put a fist and shook his fist like this. Bull crap. Bull crap. That was a state-sponsored artificial assassination attempt. And the question is, why did they do it? I'm going to tell you why I think. This is my early assessment. Somebody got the drop that the power structure was going to tell Joe Biden to bow out. Somebody got the drop because the assassination attempt was a few days ago. Biden just stepped down. Somebody in the Republican elite got the drop that Biden was going to step down. So they artificially created this assassination attempt to do what? Increase Donald Trump's popularity with the American people. This man survived an assassination attempt. How can you not vote for him? He's the people's champ. He doesn't represent the power structure. He doesn't represent the establishment. He doesn't represent the elite. He doesn't represent the shadow government. Donald Trump represents the people. If he didn't, why would they try to kill him? That was a publicity stunt for popularity because they knew Biden was stepping down and they need Donald Trump to be able to take on and win against Kamala or whoever the Democratic Party anoints in Biden's absence. That was complete publicity stunt. And now he walking around with a diaper on his ear. He ain't got a concern in the world. You see him? He using the assassin. I took a bullet for my country. That's what I took a bullet for my country. That's exactly why they did it. That was one of the best campaign stunts, popularity schemes I ever seen in my life. They don't miss when they shoot. Don't nobody miss when they shoot presidents. And also, Art, keep in mind, we only had 6 presidential assassination attempts. 3 of them was on Friday. 3 of them is on Saturday. Why is Friday and Saturday the only time you can shoot at U.S. presidents? Because the order must be coming up from a high place that we don't see.
And you made a good point on your IG Live, because I caught half of it where you were speaking on, Trump and how, they try to assassinate him. And you made a good point when you brought up Obama.
Nobody shot at him. More death threats. Barack Obama received more death threats probably than all other presidents in American history put together, and nobody never shot at him. And you mean to tell me Donald Trump, as popular as he is, gets shot at? I'm not buying it. He didn't even duck. If Donald Trump feared for his life, he would have been on the ground, Art. Who do you know still standing? Who do you know still standing up? And somebody just popped them. I'm on the ground. I'm crawling. In fact, I'm not even moving. Lay on top of me. They would have thrown him on the ground, laid on him, rolled him over. He's not walking down the steps with his head up, pumping a fist. Publicity. See, the problem is people don't know how thorough the National Security Agency is. They don't know how thorough CIA, FBI. They don't know how thorough. See, you got to remember now, America assassinates more heads of state than any government on earth. America kills people on the regular. They don't mess up when they do it, and they damn sure not going to mess up at all.
Trained killer.
Come on, man. Complete publicity stuff.
Yeah, you got a lot of people that feel that way, man. They feel the way you do. They feel like it was fake. So you and Bronny James, you made some comments saying that you won't support him until he stopped dating white women.
Yes. Bronny James took a Caucasian to the senior prom. And as you know, celebrities are role models. Our children look up to them, unfortunately, because most Black professional men have abandoned our boys in the inner city and in the Black community. They don't have successful men around them. All Black men, most Black successful men have moved to a white neighborhood. So Black boys have to look up to rappers. They have to look up to athletes because all of the successful Black men have turned their backs on them, right? So Bronny James being a role model and being the son of a Lakers legend and an NBA great, Black boys are going to look up to him. And when our boys look up to these celebrities, Art, they want to emulate them. And so if Bronny James is running around with a snow bunny, Black boys are going to want to run around with a snow bunny. So me personally, I like the idea of LeBron playing with his son. I think it's a good thing for the community. I think it's a good look for Black men. We don't see enough of father-son love publicly demonstrated. So I think this is just a good thing to re-energize our men. But if he's going to run around with a white girl after the games and outside of the games, then that's not a victory for me. So if Bronny James can somehow detox, he needs a snow bunny detox. If Bronny James can somehow undergo a snow bunny detox and leave the white girls alone and get him a sister, then I want to root for him. I want the young brother to do good. And it's a shame that all these Black people are trying to embarrass this young brother, humiliate this young brother. I mean, every game he plays, I don't even be looking for Bronny James stats. Every game he plays in the summer league, somebody's blasting his field goal percentage, points he scored, minutes on the court. They're trying to humiliate and shame him. And they're doing it to get at his father.
When it's time to choose the right products for your project, Ferguson makes sure everything runs smoothly from start to finish. Shop the best selection of brands like Blanco at your local Ferguson Bath, Kitchen, and Lighting Gallery.
They're not doing this to get at Bronny. People are jealous of LeBron because of his stature, his status, his success, and it's lashing out at LeBron through his son, and it's a damn shame because they didn't do this to J.J. Redick. I don't see J.J. Redick getting half the smoke Bronny James is getting. J.J. Redick didn't have no right to get that Lakers job. What did he win at Duke University? Nothing. What did he win with the Clippers? Nothing. What did he win with the Sixers? Nothing. Did he ever get a Defensive Player of the Year award? He might have won a three-point contest, at the All-Star weekend, but J.J. Redick has no worthwhile accolades that would justify him being a rookie coach of the Los Angeles Lakers, a team that has 2 all-time NBA greats on it when you got Sam Cassell still sitting on the bench. Sam Cassell, back-to-back NBA champion. Sam Cassell, with the winning record he has as an assistant coach, he's right behind Tyronn Lue in terms of someone who should be getting a chance. Why is J.J. Redick getting a chance? Because he's white, and everybody knows that. But I don't hear no smoke for J.J. Redick. But all of this shame and all of this sarcasm and all of this slander being directed at Bronny James while J.J. Redick gets a pass. It just speaks to how much black.
Man, J.J. Redick got that job because LeBron gonna be coaching that fucking team anyway. LeBron gonna be the fucking coach, man. What you talking about? That's LeBron partner. They do the podcast together. LeBron the coach any fucking
People hate each other. That's what it speaks to. But I'm going to vote for Bronny James. I want him to do well. His father is no activist. As I've said, when the whole Palestinian-Israel thing broke out, LeBron James and Floyd Money Mayweather both jumped on the internet and declared their support for Israel. So LeBron James is definitely a company man. He ain't nobody's activist running out there, supporting Israel to the detriment of Palestinians who are being destroyed and being humiliated and exterminated. So LeBron James clearly gave up his activism hat when he ran out there for Israel, but I still want to see him and his son be successful together because that's something our boys and our men need to see. But Bronny James does not deserve all the criticism he's getting from black folks.
And speaking of basketball, you had an issue with Jaylen Brown, right? Not making the Olympic team?
Listen, Grant Hill. And Grant Hill, my favorite NBA player of all time, Kobe's the GOAT, right? Outside of GOAT status, Rasheed Wallace was my favorite college player and NBA player. I think he's arguably the second greatest power forward to ever play the game. He was better than Barkley, just as good as, if not better than Garnett. Maybe a step behind Tim Duncan, but I'm not even sure about that. I believe Rasheed Wallace may have been the greatest power forward of all time. He was putting up Shaq numbers against Shaq. Unguardable, one of the only power forwards with a 3. Look at Rasheed Wallace's game. He had no weaknesses. But Rasheed Wallace, like Allen Iverson, they were not company men. And because Rasheed Wallace was not a company man, they left him off for the top 75 greatest NBA players of all time. Rasheed Wallace has yet to get into the Hall of Fame. Allen Iverson has yet to be offered even a general manager's job because they don't dance to nobody's tune but their own. That's the problem with Jaylen Brown. Grant Hill lied, and I like Grant Hill. I didn't finish my statement. After Rasheed Wallace, Grant Hill would have been my favorite college player. I believe Grant Hill may have ended up becoming the GOAT behind or before Mike, behind and before Kobe had his ankle never got messed up. If you remember Grant Hill in the first couple of years in the NBA.
Injuries, he was a beast, man.
He was a beast. Grant Hill was going to be the GOAT. Grant Hill was going to be the GOAT until he got injured. And I just want Grant Hill to know he's a liar, even though I like him as a black wife, beautiful wife. But Grant Hill is a liar. Grant Hill said the reason Jaylen Brown got snubbed was because of basketball. It was a total basketball decision. Grant Hill, stop lying. Brian Windhorst, NBA commentator, he also said it was a basketball decision. What Brian Windhorst said, kind of to what I think Grant Hill was alluding to, is They already have enough wing players on Team USA. They need some big men and they need some pure guards. Jaylen Brown is more of a wing player. He's more of an off 2-3 man. Okay. They need 4s, 5s, 1s, and 2s. Jaylen Brown is more of like a 3. Nonsense. Jaylen Brown can play the 2. He can play the 3. You know what I mean? He's flexible enough to do both positions. That's not why he got snubbed, because he's a wing and they need bigs and guards. Jaylen Brown got snubbed because the NBA, the teams of the NBA, nearly half of them are owned by European Jews. I'm just going to keep it honest. The NBA has more European Jewish owners than any other sports league in America. The NBA is ran by the untouchables. That's why Kyrie got into so much smoke, because most of the teams are owned, at least nearly half of the teams are owned by untouchables. Now, there's only 3 untouchable players in the NBA. There's only 3, 0 untouchable coaches. But at least half of the NBA's teams are owned by the untouchables. That's why Jaylen Brown got snubbed, because about 5 months ago, Jaylen Brown dropped about 34 points in a game, wearing, either during the game or just before the game, an armband that said "Free Gaza." Free Gaza. Jaylen Brown walked into the arena with a Free Gaza band. He might have played with the band, but either way, he dropped 34 points that night. You understand? And then after that, then when he said he was going to use his new contract money to help build a Black Wall Street, and then he sided with Kyrie Irving when Nike dropped Kyrie. And then when the royal family came to one of the Boston Celtics home games and they asked Jaylen Brown post-game, what did he feel about the royal family being in the audience? And he said, this was just another game to me. That's why Jaylen Brown got snubbed. All of the above, but the main reason, you supported Palestine and the NBA's teams are owned by Jews. That's why he's not on Team USA. And it speaks to the fact that Black athletes don't have power, Art. They're not powerful. People say, yeah, the Black athlete, they ain't got no power. What did LeBron James do soon when Israel started duking it out with Palestine? He jumped his ass on the internet and make sure Israel knew, I'm with y'all. What did Mayweather do? Mayweather jumped on there and said, I'm with Israel. Sent a whole plane full of supplies over there. I don't know if he ever did that for an American city. Did Floyd Mayweather do that for Hurricane Katrina? Did he do that for Hurricane Harvey? He damn sure did it for Israel. And I like Floyd Money Mayweather, but I cannot condone cooning by any Black man at all, for any reason, at any time. So although I like LeBron as a person, father, Black, white, Black children, although I like Money Mayweather as a person, probably the greatest pound-for-pound boxer of all time, until Gervonta Davis overtakes his 50-0, 50-0, 51-0 record. Because I think Tank, if he never loses, and I hope he never does, because Tank is my favorite boxer, Tank is going to go down as the greatest pound-for-pound of all time. He's going to take Money Mayweather's position. Tank is going to take it. Tank is going to take it.
He got to fight better competition, bro.
I agree, but let's not act like Mayweather didn't duck some folks in their prime, though. Let's not act like Mayweather didn't duck some folks in their prime. But here's the biggest reason why I'm going to give it to Tank. 2 reasons. He's more humble than Mayweather. Much more humble. And he's a much more powerful fighter. Mayweather was finesse. Don't get me wrong. Mayweather knock you on your ass in his early years. But he didn't have the punching power of a Gervonta Tank Davis. He was not the punching powerhouse of a Gervonta Tank Davis.
He ain't doing nothing with the power. He ain't fighting nobody, bro.
Well, you can only fight what's there. You know what I mean? But they coming. I just think, don't get me wrong, he got a long way to go, but he on course. Tank going to be the greatest of all time if he don't lose. Tank is going to be one of the greatest of all time if he don't lose.
I mean, Shakur Stevenson there. I mean, Devin Haney.
I like
there.
Shakur. Shakur got to get more power. And I want Shakur Stevenson. I like Shakur too. You know, when he proposed to his Black queen in the ring, married that young sister, hopefully they still together. I tip my hat off to that young brother, because being a boxer, being prominent, being a young, attractive brother, he could easily just play the field and be a player and be out there. That brother married his baby mom, put a ring on it. Shout out to Shakur Stevenson for that. But I do want Shakur Stevenson to stop going back and forth with people on the internet. You can't be thin-skinned if you're going to be in a public space. I got to deal with that. I'm in a public space. You can't be thin-skinned. People are going to talk about you. They're going to make up lies about you. They're going to throw dirt at you. You got to be able to take it in stride, bro. And with that, with the whole Mason Cameron thing, I didn't like it too much. I didn't like it. I like Cameron. I think the Dipset sound was a very powerful sound that was underrated. I think Mace is one of the greatest lyricists of all time. One-on-one lyrics, Mace, few people could touch him. I remember back in the day, I was hoping him and Jadakiss would do an album together. But here's what I want to say to Cameron and Mace. We are in our 40s. Shakur Stevenson, how old is Shakur Stevenson? Probably about 21.
I want to say that he got to be in his late 20s.
Right. We old enough to be his father.
Definitely go with Fam. They have your back. They're going to fight for you. They're going to make sure you get the correct treatment and make sure you're keeping up with the medical records, keeping in contact with the adjusters, and just keeping you informed with the case step by step.
So today's the day. I've got my RTA mock system and Coyote appliances.
Nobody gives a
Cameron is old enough to be Shakur's father. Mace is old enough to be Shakur's father. Dr. Umar is old enough to be Shakur's father. Don't insult the young brother. Educate him and bring him along. When Cameron said, I'll smack, what'd he say? I'll smack the taste out your mouth or whatever. Don't do that, Cam. And I don't believe Cam would really actually do that. I think he's a stand-up guy. I don't think Mace would actually do that. I think he's a stand-up guy as well. But what I don't, we the OGs now. We ain't elders yet. We got another quarter of a century before we become elders. But we the OGs. And as the OGs to the brothers in their 20s and their 30s, because we in our 40s, we're supposed to be bringing them along. We shouldn't be publicly trying to humiliate them, negatively criticize them. I think Cam and Mace had a right to say what they said. They had a right to say what they said. They were not the only people who said what they said. But I felt that they could have been a little bit more thoughtful in their remarks. They could have been a little bit more diplomatic because a lot of people liked them. They followed them. They listened to them. We grew up on them. You know what I'm saying? So my two of the biggest artists of the early 2000s. So my thing is to Mason Cam, don't belittle the brother. He doing his thing. He boxing. If you think he boring, keep that to yourself. He's involved in it. He ain't on the street selling dope. He ain't hustling cars. He ain't beating women. He ain't running credit cards. You know what I mean? The brother is engaged in a respectable profession, like the two of you brothers are engaged in a respectable profession. Let that brother do him. Don't threaten him. Don't smack him down. Big him up. I would just wish that Cam and Mace don't go there with the next generation, man. They should be looking up to us. They should be coming to us. We should not be publicly humiliating our brothers. And Shakur shouldn't be going back and forth with me, because if you're going to threaten somebody older than you who got some street experience, you know what I mean? You can't be upset when they clap back at you. My whole thing with Shakur, with Jay Prince, with Mason Cam, let's just keep it on social media, keep it fun. You know what I mean? Let nobody get, take it personal. Let's not get out of character. Let's not let our egos run away from us. And let's just let the situation simmer down, because I don't want that to go somewhere where it don't have to go. Just let the young brother do him. And I do think Tank needs to fight the brother, though. Tank needs to get a brother a box. He been asking, he been begging. I think he got to fight Lomachenko next. That's going to be a fight. But I heard Lomachenko might sit down for Tank to take on Shakur Stevenson. If that's the case, Tank, get a brother a fight. But I got to say this to Shakur, though. Tank is probably the face of boxing right now. He is. You can't talk trash on the face of boxing and expect him to throw you an olive branch. So this is my criticism for Shakur Stevenson. You can't be talking reckless about Tank when Tank is the one who's going to decide if you ever see him inside the ring, bro. See, Shakur won it both ways. He talking shit on Tank, and he want Tank to give him a payday and a chance to take his belt. If you talking crap on me, why would I give you a chance to take me out in the ring? Remember when Muhammad Ali came to Philadelphia right here and asked Joe Frazier for a fight? Ali came to Frazier with humility. Ali came to Frazier as a friend. Ali came to Frazier as a colleague and a buddy. He didn't go on social media. Of course, they didn't have it back then, because I'm sure Ali would have been on it. But Ali didn't go to social media and try to embarrass Joe Frazier into a bout. He did a little of that, but they made that thing happen behind closed doors. Shakur needs to do the same thing with Tank. Stop beefing with him on media. Handle it like a gentleman. It's time. Sometimes it's time to be a gangster. Sometimes you got to be a gentleman. It's time to be a gentleman. And I want Mason Cam to remain the gentleman that they are, especially when dealing with our younger brothers.
You gotta handle like a villain.
Who's the best fighter that Gervonta fought?
I think it'll be Lomachenko that I know of. I don't know every person. I don't know every person Tank fought. You know, I've seen a lot of his fights. I don't know everybody he fought, but to me, I feel Lomachenko is probably going to give him the best run. Who would you throw out there? I don't know his earlier fights. Who was some of those strong?
That's the sad part. I guess the best fighter he fought was the pit bull dude, the Mexican guy.
Yeah, the Cruz dude. I think that was the best one. I saw them highlights. That was a war. That was a war. Tank came out of that, but that was a war.
That's the only person I can really name, bro. The dude not fighting.
But here's the question, though. In Tank's defense, though, Art, who is he duck? Like, who should he be fighting?
He should be fighting Devin Haney, Shakur Stevenson.
I'm gonna be honest, and I like Devin Haney. Shout out to Devin Haney and his dad.
He still need to fight him, no matter what Ryan Garcia did to him.
I agree with you.
Yeah, you still got to get in the ring with him.
He needs to fight Devin. I agree with you. But Devin, honestly,
why would I fight a nigga?
He lost the fight to Lomachenko.
The nigga I beat.
And you know, I ain't never going against my race for nobody. You know what I'm saying? But if I'm gonna be honest, Lomachenko, I felt bested Devin in that fight. I really do. If I'm going to call a spade, I think Lomachenko bested Devin. And, you know, so with that being said, you know, I'm still glad Devin undefeated or whatnot. But if I'm going to call a spade, I think Lomachenko edged him. Devin got to do a little better with his prep. He got to do a little better with his prep. I'm not going to fault him too much with the Ryan Garcia. You know, because he was taking steroids or whatever he was taking. Clearly something was going on. You could tell. You know what I mean? So I'm glad he still got his clean record, but I need Devin and his dad focus a little less on social media and get ready because you got some wars coming. You know what I mean? If you're going to get in there with Tank, you got some wars coming. And right now, I can't take Devin over Tank. I can't take Shakur over Tank either. But because I'm a fan of all three of them young brothers, I'm a fan of Tank, I'm a fan of Devin, I'm a fan of Shakur Stevenson as well. Obviously, Tank being my favorite, you know what I'm saying? But I don't think Shakur or Devin are ready for Tank right now. I think they're doing too much social media and they need to get into that gym and get ready. Because when you go against Tank, you got to be ready. Tank is everything people say he is and then some. Get ready for that.
Yeah, I respect it, man. Can't argue with that. And Kendrick, what was the issue with that? I know he had Canadians, man, right? Like, what was the issue with that?
Yeah, man. I did an interview with some Canadian brothers the morning after the fake Trump assassination attempt. And those brothers, they alluded to the fact that, in their opinion, the title of Kendrick Lamar's song, They Not Like Us, was intended as a slight against Canadian Africans. I didn't believe that to be true because I don't believe Kendrick is that type of guy. You know, he's a very grassroots guy. You know, I don't think he's a Pan-Africanist per se, who's really focused on the unity of all African people across the world as I am. But I still believe Kendrick to be someone who, you know, believes in the respect, you know, that we should all have for each other as Black people around the world. So I don't think Kendrick was going at the entire Canadian African family, but they feel that way. And the reason they feel that way is in the comments. This is what they said. They said, if you go online, Dr. Umar, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, if you look at the comments being made by American Africans about Canadian Africans in relation to the Kendrick Drake beef, they are attacking all of us as a people. They're not just attacking Drake, saying he's not like us. They're saying that the Canadian African is not like the American African. And what I told those brothers, shout out to them, and I hope to see them October 5th and 6th when I come to Toronto this year. But what I told them brothers, if Kendrick intended that song as a slight against the Canadian African community, I have a problem with Kendrick because that's a violation of Pan-African protocol and unity. Although I said, I don't believe that's the way it was intended. And there was another brother on the set of that podcast interview in Newark, New Jersey. Shout out to Mouse. And he clarified. He said, Dr. Umar.
That is not the way it was intended, bro. It couldn't have been.
Mark Kendrick was talking about Drake. Kendrick was not talking about all Canadian Africans. And a lot of other people have since then texted me because they saw the Breakfast Club conversation. They said, Dr. Umar, Kendrick was talking to Drake and Drake only, not all Canadian Africans. He has fans in Canada. Why would he do that? And
for niggas to say, if you go on a comment, bro, fuck them comments. You talk about all the comments or all this shit. Like, bitch, what? You got like these people commenting this motherfucking him directly. Or his people directly commenting, man. This is random motherfuckers all around the world.
I genuinely believe that.
Crazy.
But you know what I told them? Just like I'm going to tell you, I said, Kendrick needs to clarify. Just like Drake needs to clarify if he's black first or Jewish first, Kendrick needs to clarify that They Not Like Us was only for Drake. I was not trying to say that Canadian Africans are unlike American Africans and have no right to practice or participate in our hip hop.
Man, fuck that. Man, fuck that. You ain't got to say shit. Man, what the fuck? Hell no, fuck that. As a music, man, fuck that. Fuck that.
You feel me? He could do it in the interview. He could do it on a live. He could do it on the record. I had to do it. I had a beef with a brother in the conscious community. I talked about him being pale. Very fair-skinned brother. I was only talking to him. I was not attacking pale-skinned Africans. I was not attacking albino Africans. I was not attacking mixed-race Africans. I was not attacking light-skinned Africans. I was talking about one person. But guess what, Art? My inbox got flooded by albino Africans, light-skinned Africans, mixed-race Africans, pale Africans. They said, Dr. Umar, why you hating on us like that? I'm a supporter. I'm not hating on you, bro. I'm going to war with this brother.
By 2050, there will be more plastic than fish in the oceans. There are 18 billion pounds of plastic waste entering our oceans every year. You've seen the images. Our marine life is under threat. So we've created a new plan to do something about it, just by changing.
But they took it personally. And because you got people in the comments trying to make it sound like Kendrick was attacking all of Black Canada, Kendrick needs to speak to all of Black Canada. I don't want this to turn into a Tupac Big. We've already learned the history of that. I lived through the Tupac Big. I remember we were supposed to have Little Kim at my Spring Fling concert in 1997 when I was president of the Black Student Union at Millersville University. It was going to be Little Kim and KRS-One, and Biggie got shot and Little Kim dropped out, and Jay-Z. We brought Jay-Z in place for Little Kim. So I lived through that East Coast, West Coast. We don't need no above the border, below the border beef. We don't need no American African versus Canadian African. What happened to Rick Ross, we don't need that. We don't need Black people going into Canada being attacked by African Canadians or African Canadians, Canadian Africans rather, coming to America being attacked by American Africans. Nah, we one people, man.
That ain't gonna happen, bro. What? That shit ain't. Hell no, man. That shit only a discussion because you talk about it, right? Like you talk, nobody even know about no shit like that. That's how they feel over there personally. Man, that shit funny. Hell no, Kendrick. I wouldn't say shit about nothing. And just for the record, I think the battle was even. I don't think nobody won. And I fuck with Drake. But nah, bro. I wouldn't tell. Man, as a hip hop, like, man, everything. Fuck that.
That border that divides us, that's a white man's border. That ain't us. That border that divides Canada and America, that was put there by Caucasians. That wasn't put there by black people. So why would we identify with an artificial boundary that our mutual oppressors created? Black Canadians, our Canadian African brothers and sisters, they catch the same hell that we catch here, man. They catch the same hell. So I don't want this to become a Canada versus America war. No, Drake, Kendrick, put it into this. Too many people can get hurt behind it. Let's put it into it.
And you had an issue with Drake also, right?
I want him to clarify whether or not he identifies as a black man, because too many people, I've never seen him say he didn't, but too many people are telling me that he doesn't, that he's always pushing his Jewish heritage, which is fine. But you became a millionaire through hip hop. You made your name.
Can you not be Jewish and black? Somebody tell me this. I want to know. Because I thought Judaism or whatever, oh, that was a religion. Whatever.
Name through hip hop. And as a result of that, you need to make sure that you black first. If you ain't black first, say that and let people decide if they still want to support you. But see, what I don't want is mixed race Africans who don't consider themselves black. Whether that's Drake, whether that's Amber Rose, whether that's anybody else. I don't want any mixed race African who doesn't identify with us to do so only when it's
Ain't Brandon T. Jackson, don't Brandon T. Jackson consider himself a goddamn black Jew or some shit? So you could be black, okay?
Convenient for them to exploit the culture. Because if you don't identify as black, you are a visitor in the house of hip hop, as far as I'm concerned. If you don't identify as black, you are a visitor in the house of hip hop. But I don't want to take it so far, Art, because even in that, there's a small contradiction, because Eminem and DJ Khaled clearly are not African. And they are not treated like visitors in the house of hip hop. They are treated like family. So if we're going to treat a pure white man, Eminem, and a pure Arab in DJ Khaled, if we're going to treat them like hip hop family, why do we have the issue with Drake and Amber Rose saying they're mixed race? I can't claim them if they identify as mixed race, because that's against what I stand for. I can't claim Drake and Amber Rose if they identify as mixed race, but hip hop should be able to, because after all, you got a white man and an Arab, DJ Khaled and Eminem, and y'all treat them like royalty. So don't do a double standard for Amber and don't do a double standard for Drake. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. If DJ Khaled and Eminem ain't got to be black to be considered hip hop family, Drake shouldn't have to be either. That's where I stand on it.
Yeah, Drake.
Yeah, you might be right about that. But I want to ask you about some comments that Ice Cube made about Diddy. Have you seen an interview where he said that Diddy is being targeted? You believe that?
I did. And I just got invited to an interview by that very same gentleman who interviewed him. And I haven't made up my mind yet, Art, if I want to do interviews with Caucasians, because I really don't know what the agendas are. So, you know, I've been slow to move. I just got another interview from, what's his name? The gentleman who was sued because of the Sandy Hook situation. He made some claims that allegedly were proved not to be true. What is his name? The conspiracy, Alex Jones? Alex Jones, he just invited me to an interview too. But anyhow, Ice Cube said kind of what I've said earlier. Diddy don't go down without the blessing of the white power structure. He don't go down. What did Ice Cube say? Somebody up top, and I'm paraphrasing, had to push the buttons to set this domino effect in motion. Listen, everything R. Kelly been accused of, I don't support it, you don't support it. I don't condone it, you don't condone it. But it's everyday business in the music business. Everything Puffy been accused of, you don't support it, I don't support it. But guess what? It's everyday business in show business. So clearly, they not going down. Right now is this country. If this country descends into chaos, China runs the world. Does the power structure, does the secret before Mike, behind and before Kobe had his ankle never got messed up? He fight.
He should be fighting Devin Haney. Shakur.
People are telling me that he doesn't, that he's always pushing his Jewish heritage, which is fine. Just invited me to an interview too. But anyhow, Ice Cube said kind of what I've said earlier. Diddy don't go down without the blessing of the white power structure. He don't go down. What did Ice Cube say? Somebody up top, and I'm paraphrasing, had to push the buttons to set this domino effect in motion. Listen, everything R. Kelly been accused of, I don't support it, you don't support it. I don't condone it, you don't condone it. But it's everyday business in the music business. Everything Puffy been accused of, you don't support it, I don't support it. But guess what? It's everyday business in show business. So clearly, they not going down for that. What Bill Cosby was accused of, it's everyday business in show business. That means what? That means they didn't go down because of that. Because a lot of people do that on a regular basis who themselves were not exposed. So Ice Cube is right. I believe Diddy went down because he sued the parent company of his liquor label for not properly promoting, marketing, and advertising his liquor brand. He accused them of racism. And I think they picked up the phone and called some white people who called some white people and said, Diddy is getting beside himself. He forgot who's really in charge. Sean Puffy Combs thinks he's a boss. And guess what we about to do? He's no longer musically relevant anyway. He ain't had a hit in I don't know how long. He ain't brought us another B.I.G. or Faith Evans. We don't know in how long. Guess what? Smack that nigga on the back of his head and let him know he is not a part of the white power structure, and they brought him down. Sean Puffy Combs does not fall from grace without the approval of the power structure. Ice Cube knows it. Ice Cube was around for the Eazy-E situation. He was close enough to the Tupac situation. Ice Cube been in the music business, the acting business. He know how this game go. You don't fall.
Ice Cube told y'all niggas the same motherfuckers that own the prisons own the record labels. The same motherfuckers own the record labels own the prisons, nigga. Brainwashing y'all motherfuckers. Brainwashing your kids, nigga. Making money in 3 ways. And when that shit made me think like, damn. Do these motherfuckers own the funeral homes or the business behind funeral homes or the business behind great? Like, that shit probably go deeper than niggas even think, bro.
Unless the power structure wants you to fall. Ice Cube was dead right on Sean Puffy Combs. Now, I heard somebody say, Puffy said, allegedly, because I didn't hear Puff. They said Puffy gonna start naming names and telling on other people. Here's what I want to say to my brother, Sean Puffy Combs, whose behavior I do not condone. And I pray to God he didn't have nothing to do with Tupac and Big's assassination, although logic seems to suggest otherwise. Sean Puffy Combs, please don't start going around talking about you telling on white higher-ups. If you think you're going to expose white elites, you're going to end up like Jerry Epstein. Jerry Epstein made the same threat. Jerry Epstein said he was not going to go down alone. And the next thing you know, they took his life and blamed it on the suicide. Puffy, I believe Sean Puffy Combs is too smart to start publicly threatening white elites. I think he knows enough to know. I think his entertainment uncle, Clive Davis, taught him enough where Puffy knows you cannot publicly threaten white elites. It won't end good. So Puff, for the sake of your children and your family and your mom who love you and still need you, bruh, please don't go around threatening white elites. You're going to have to take this one on the chin for the sake of your family and for the sake of your life.
How you feel about the backlash that Jay-Z got for going to, Tom Brady Hall of Fame ceremony, but not going to any of the 50th anniversary of hip-hop events?
When we brought Jay-Z to Millersville University in the spring of 1997, it's been 25 years, and I have seen the growth of Sean Carter. When I met him backstage at our concert and we took our photos, he was just about to drop In My Lifetime Volume 1. Reasonable Doubt was already out. In My Lifetime Volume 1 was about to drop. That's when he did our concert. He opened up for KRS-One, who had just dropped Step Into My World. That was the hot song at the time. I followed Jay-Z since meeting him that night. And I've seen his growth and his expansion. And I think Mr. Sean Carter would have to agree with me. If it wasn't for hip hop, music, and culture, he might not be the mega star, mega billionaire that he is. Therefore, I would have to agree that the criticism against Jay-Z is well earned. You have no right honoring a white man, Tom Brady, who's never done anything of significance for the black community, and the NFL, who has destroyed black men's careers, Colin Kaepernick included, and continues to do so. You had no right celebrating Tom Brady's NFL career and at the same time not perform at the 50th anniversary of hip hop.
You know it's all about money today, man. You got to know it's about the money. You really
If we stay here, we die.
Because guess what, Art? Most of us will not be around at the 100th anniversary of hip hop. If you're in your 40s, you'll be 100 years old or almost so when the centennial hip hop celebration come around. So this was really Jay-Z's only moment to really honor the culture at the time the culture was being celebrated. And I believe Jay-Z owed it to hip hop to perform at the 50th anniversary. I do believe he was wrong. I'm not canceling him. I'm not throwing him under the bus because I do think him and Beyonce does a lot more than a lot of these other celebrities. I'll give them that. They do a lot more than a lot of these other celebrities, you know, but he was wrong for that. If you're going to celebrate the white man, you should have came and celebrate the black man. And I just hope Jay-Z isn't suffering from black male narcissism. You know, we get successful as black men, Art, and we start thinking we God, and we start thinking we're better than other blacks, and we're too good to be around other blacks. So I hope Mr. Sean Carter remembers his roots in the Massey projects in Brooklyn, and I hope he remembers, you know, everything he had to go through to get to where he is, and that he hasn't forgotten where he comes from. He should have performed. And I'm gonna say this: he can make it right. He can make it right. He needs to do a performance, a concert, a free concert. That's what he needs to do. He needs to do a free concert for all hip hop heads in celebration of the 50th anniversary of hip hop. It'll be 51 now soon, but he can still make it right. It ain't too late for him to make it right. But was he wrong for celebrating Tom Brady and not celebrating 50 years of hip hop? You damn straight he wrong. Look at all the people who paved the way for Jay-Z, from Big Daddy Kane, you know what I mean, to LL. Self, you know, Jay-Z, like all of us, wherever we are, if you're black and successful, you standing on a lot of shoulders. You know, a lot of people helped Jay-Z get where he got, and for him not to come and pay homage, that was wrong. That's just like if there's a celebration of black consciousness and they invite Dr. Umar to come, being the most prominent black consciousness voice in the world, and I don't go. The only way I could justify it, Art, in Jay-Z's possible defense, if he wanted to do it, and they was somehow disrespecting him or undermining him, or the people in charge was enemies of his and his ops, or he didn't feel comfortable, if he thought it was a setup, you do have to allow a person to tell their truth. Jay-Z may have an explanation for why he wasn't there. So I do want to grant him that consideration. I do want to grant Jay-Z that consideration. But even with that being said, Art, Jay-Z owes it to the black community and the hip hop community in particular. He owes them an explanation as to why he didn't show. And if he says, I don't owe anybody an explanation, then that's clearly a classic case of narcissism. And I would lose a lot of respect for him. And so would a lot of other people if he says, I'm not going to tell why, because I don't owe nobody an explanation. You wouldn't be a billionaire without black music. You owe us an explanation, brother.
Yeah, well said. But I want to ask you about a comment that somebody made. And I don't know how you and this person's relationship is now, but Candace Owens, she did an interview with Don Lemon, a very entertaining interview, but she made a comment that had him mad, right? And I want to get your opinion on it. She said that if you're transgender, you have a mental disorder. You agree with that?
And I saw a clip of that, and Sister Candace, she was correct in what she stated, but a little off with her stats. I think she said up until the DSM-5, homosexuality was listed as a mental illness. That was incorrect. It was up until the DSM-3 that homosexuality was listed as a mental illness in the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders. In the 1970s, the American Psychiatric Association went through a homosexual revolution where the homosexuals protested the fact that their lifestyle was considered a mental illness. And they basically had a coup at an American Psychiatric Association convention, and a white psychiatrist from Philadelphia who was a closet homosexual went to that California APA convention and testified wearing a bag or a mask over his face, because back then it wasn't popular to be gay. And so he testified with a mask on his head. And I think a few other homosexual psychologists and psychiatrists testified, without revealing their identity. And the American Psychiatric Association voted to overturn homosexuality as a mental illness. It was removed, but they did produce a position paper, Art, 1974-75. The APA position paper on homosexuality came out. And in a position paper, you can get it off the internet today, it clearly stated that they did not depathologize homosexuality because there was proof people were born gay. They did it because of social pressure. You hear what I'm telling you? It wasn't like we found out people were born gay, lesbian, and transgender, and because the science suggests that people are born this way, we're going to depathologize homosexuality. That's not what they said. They said we do not have proof that people are born this way. But because we have a segment of society that is objecting to our pathologizing of their way of life, we're going to remove it from the DSM. So basically, they got bullied. The American Psychiatric Association and the American Psychological Association in the 1970s, they were bullied into declassifying homosexuality as a mental illness. And I don't believe that was an accident. Dr. King is assassinated in 1968. The American white power structure had already decided that Black people's issues can never again be the primary issue in this country. So the Stonewall riots kicked off right after Dr. King's assassination, not too long thereafter. And then this is when the homosexuals had the coup at the American Psychiatric Association convention in California. And I personally believe the reason homosexuality was declassified as a disorder or depathologized as a disorder is because they was going to use it to block out the Black agenda and push a gay agenda over a Black agenda, because most homosexuals in America are still what are white racists, privileged white racists. So if we're going to have a minority issue, it's going to be one that is championed by privileged white people, and it's going to be a minority issue that benefits privileged white people. And if anybody disagrees with me that homosexuality was depathologized in the early 70s so it could be used to suffocate the Black agenda, why did the U.S. Congress, the Republicans in particular, why did they require that the Democrats in Congress add the words sexual orientation and gender to the 1964 Civil Rights Bill, Art? The Republicans told the Democrats, if you do not add sexual orientation as a protected category in the 1964 Civil Rights Bill, we will not pass it. We will not approve it unless you add sexual orientation and gender. Can I ask you a question, Art? Homosexuality wasn't a big public issue in the 1960s. They wasn't running around fighting for equal justice the way they do now in the 1960s. So why did the Republicans tell the Democrats, Lyndon Baines Johnson, if you don't put sexual orientation as a protected category in the Civil Rights Bill, we not going to pass it? You know why they made them put it in there, Art? Because they knew they was going to use it to help homosexuals hijack the civil rights movement from Black people. Candace Owens, to your question, is same-sex relationships a mental illness? I can't say if it is for white people because I'm not Caucasian. I can't say if it is for brown people. I'm not Latino or East Indian. I'm not a Native American. I can't say if it is for yellow people. I'm not Chinese or Japanese. I can only speak for my people. Behavior is culturally determined. Behavior is culturally determined. So nobody can tell you what is right or wrong for your culture. Only those in that culture can determine that. You follow me?
Fact.
So for African people,
Okay, then.
coming from an African cultural foundation,
All right, well, let me hear it.
same-sex relationships or the attempt to transform yourself in the opposite gender categorically goes against everything African culture stands for.
Everything.
We believe that when we are in heaven, we are assigned a gender for this incarnation. That gender is consistent with our destiny and our purpose and our mission in this life. And we have no right to tamper with the gender that God assigned to us. You being a man.
Again. Hold on. Say it louder for the motherfuckers that ain't jump in this bitch.
It's part of the mission you got to fulfill. You being a woman is part of your destiny you have to fulfill. So if God made you a man on purpose, if God made you a woman on purpose, and your mission, your soul, your destiny is attached to that purpose,
right?
How can you then say, I want to be a woman? You know why they made them put it in there, Art? Because they knew they was going to use it to help homosexuals hijack the civil rights movement from Black people. Candace Owens, to your question, is same-sex relationships a mental illness? I can't say if it is for white people because I'm not Caucasian. I can't say if it is for brown people. I'm not Latino or East Indian. I'm not a Native American. I can't say if it is for yellow people. I'm not Chinese or Japanese. I can only speak for my people. Behavior is culturally determined. Behavior is culturally determined. So nobody can tell you what is right or wrong for your culture. Only those in that culture can determine that. You follow me? So for African people, coming from an African cultural foundation, same-sex relationships or the attempt to transform yourself in the opposite gender categorically goes against everything African culture stands for. We believe that when we are in heaven, we are assigned a gender for this incarnation. That gender is consistent with our destiny and our purpose and our mission in this life. And we have no right to tamper with the gender that God assigned to us. You being a man is part of the mission you got to fulfill. You being a woman is part of your destiny you have to fulfill. So if God made you a man on purpose, if God made you a woman on purpose, and your mission, your soul, your destiny is attached to that purpose, how can you then say, I want to be a woman and not be out of divine order? How can you then?
And you might not know, they're trying to include women in the draft if we end up going to war. Now, mainly, I figured that was because of this shit like this, like motherfuckers that change their gender, try to get out of going to war. But them gonna be the ones, them gonna be the women that they call.
And say, I want to be a man and not be out of divine order. So to Candace's point, I would agree in principle. It is a spiritual deficiency. It is a spiritual possession. It is without question a psychological imbalance for an African person to want to live as an artificial man when they are a biological woman, or live as an artificial woman when they are a biological man, or want to have romantic relations with someone of the same gender. I did not say I want to see them hurt, because I don't. I did not say I want them deprived of the right to vote, to live, to work, to buy a house, because I don't. but I believe marriage is between a man and a woman. That is African. That is how we have lived for hundreds of thousands, if not millions of years. And nobody, including Barack Obama, Joe Biden, or Kamala Harris, is going to convince me of anything different. But I don't believe in disrespecting people because of their sexual orientation. I don't wish hurt or harm against anyone because of their sexual orientation. But do I believe they have a right to get married? I absolutely do not. Do I believe they have a right to adopt Black children? Absolutely, I do not.
I respect it. Team USA, if I'm not mistaken, right, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but you feel like they cheated against South Sudan?
That was one great game. It was an exhibition, so it wasn't a disqualification game between Team USA and Team South Sudan. I do believe the South Sudanese won the game. I believe there was a series of strategic no calls by the referees to give Team USA the game. And don't get me wrong, I'm not rooting against my brothers on Team USA. Steph Curry, Black wife, Black family, I'm a fan. LeBron James, Black wife, Black family, I'm a fan. You know, Kevin Durant, one of my favorite players of all time. You know, they got Jason Tatum. You know what I mean? So I like the players. You know, I'm a fan of them guys. But I'm just going to be honest with you. Whenever it's Africa against anybody else, I'm riding with Africa. Period. When they play anybody else, I'm for my brothers. I ain't rooting for USA. I'm rooting for the brothers playing. But whenever they go against Africa, I'm an African first. So I was rooting for South Sudan, and I believe the referees cheated them out of that victory. It wouldn't have counted for Olympics. It was only an exhibition for what I understand, but they won that game. And what you got to understand, Art, the Olympics is political. It's very much political. The Olympics is an extension of America's international agenda and their foreign relations campaign. You know, and the referees understand that. So they're going to do whatever they can do to make sure the most powerful countries come out on top if they have a possibility to come out on top. So if South Sudan sees America again, they're going to have to beat them by a whole lot more to walk away with the victory. It's the same thing in the NBA. The NBA is rigged so the better teams win, even when the lower team outplayed them. The referees will rob them of a victory in the last couple of minutes. You've seen this plenty of times. I've seen this plenty of times. It's no different than in the Olympics. So I'm proud of South Sudan. And again, I root for my American African brothers when they play against anybody except an African team. I'm Team Africa all day long. So whether they playing against Congo, Sudan, Nigeria, I'm always riding with Africa. You ain't never got to second guess that. But I do have to say, I'm very disappointed in Joel Embiid. I'm not only disappointed in him for marrying outside of his race,
I know you're going.
I'm disappointed in Joel Embiid for not playing for Team Cameroon. Joel Embiid should have represented Africa in the Olympics. Luka Doncic represented Slovenia, did he not? Nikola Jokic represented his home team. A whole bunch of European NBA players represented their white countries, even though they lost, even though they got disqualified. They represented their home. Joel Embiid, why didn't you represent your home? To me, Joel Embiid not representing Africa in the Olympics may have been a more disrespectful move than him not marrying a Black woman. Even though I think he's the best player in the NBA by far, I think he's better than Jokic and Joker. Joel Embiid did Africa and African people a disservice by playing for Team USA and not playing for Team Cameroon or another African country. I'm disappointed in my brother.
Yeah, that's
that nigga more disappointed that he didn't play for his country than he disappointed that he ain't married a Black woman. Hell no.
crazy. Because when you look at the NBA players like Luka, I mean, he played for.
That nigga feel strongly about that because he was just on Bronny James' ass. Like, Bronny a kid, man. He came up around these bitches. This all that's been around him. He ain't had, you know what I'm saying? Them white girl probably know how to treat him and shit. You know what I'm saying? Other Black girls in the school, he came in like, oh, do you think you somebody because your dad LeBron, bitch? You ain't, you just LeBron's son. He probably just pays for all that white girls know how to treat me.
For his own team.
Can't blame Barney for that, man. You can't blame Barney for goddamn what he was around, what he had to select from.
So
They play even when they know they're gonna lose. They know when they see America they're gonna lose. Joker knew they was gonna lose when they saw America. Luka knew, and I'm not sure who they lost to, but they knew they would lose if they saw America, and they did it anyway because it's about loving who you are, man. It's about loving who you are. Joel Embiid from Cameroon, your talent come from Africa. Your ancestry, your DNA, all of that's Africa. LeBron James don't know where his ancestry came from. Steph Curry, Jason Tatum, they don't know. Anthony Edwards, they don't know where their Drew Holiday, Bunny Hopper, they don't know where their talent came from. But you do. You know exactly where you're from, and you still didn't play for the home team. I'm not going to disrespect him, but I'm very disappointed in Joel Embiid for not playing for Africa.
That nigga just said some shit, bro. He just said some shit. Niggas don't even think about it like that either. Nigga, you don't even know where your DNA come from. You don't even know where your ancestry come from, nigga. You don't even know like what your DNA made up of. Like, majority of us niggas is mutt. Nigga, and you don't even know it. Mixed with all type of shit.
Africa in the Olympics.
Over there.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. He should have played for Africa. I don't know why he didn't do that, man. You know, a lot of players do it. So, yeah, that's weird, man. I don't know why he didn't do that. But how you feel about the Sonya Massey incident? Her getting shot by a cop.
You got
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Springfield, Illinois police. She called the police to her house. If I am correct in recanting the facts of the story, 2 police entered into the house. One was walking through the house. Another cop stayed with her in the kitchen area. She had a hot pot on the stove or something. I think she requested to move it. He told her that she could, so she went over there to move the pot. I don't know if he's trying to insinuate she wanted to throw the hot water on him, or I don't know what was in the pot, but she called the police, Art. She called the police because she thought there may have been an intruder around her home.
Right. She called the police for assistance and ended up getting motherfucking murdered. And that's some bullshit. Like, that shit like hurt my heart, bro. Like, that shit. I got a little homie died from the headshot. He's a good rapper. I met Jake because I was doing his videos. His people. Sonya used to call me to come do their videos. Put them niggas up. And to see how that motherfucker shot that lady in the head, bro, that shit felt really hot. I be thinking about my little nigga. Like, I had my auntie die in my arms. She took that last girl basically in my arms. I'm helping her to the room. That shit different. Like, shit like that just be evil. And like, people's like, I couldn't imagine that being my people. Bro.
Police come to the home. The cop shot her in her face 3 times. I don't know if all 3 shots was to the face, but one of them was shot her point blank in her face in her home. He didn't have his body cam on. The other cop who was with him had his body cam on. So he thought he was probably going to lie and say she threatened me or threatened to throw what was ever on the pot on me. I think he had an alibi set up, Art. He didn't know his partner didn't turn his body cam off. So the whole thing, I believe, got caught on tape. It may just be the audio. I don't know if they caught video, but nonetheless, that is really what proved that was an unprovoked police assassination. And that's why, Art, I go back to the George Floyd police reform bill. I go back to Donald Trump wanting to give police absolute immunity. I go back to the fact Joe Biden hasn't given us a single anti-Black hate bill yet. The Emmett Till anti-lynching bill, soft as butter. You couldn't even use it to lock up a kitten. You know, we don't have nothing protecting us from these killer police, but I'm supposed to vote for Kamala Harris? I'm supposed to vote for Donald Trump when neither one of them has said anything about protecting Black life? You out of your mind. You out of your mind. I wish I would dishonor my ancestors and vote for someone who has not unequivocally made it clear to the world that I defend Black life. Anybody running for any office that doesn't unequivocally declare in public that I stand for Black Lives Matter, not the organization, the movement, I can't stand for them. I can't stand for them. I'm not talking about them sisters. I'm talking about the Black Lives Matter movement that was born on the streets that they took the name from and made an organization to hustle with. I ain't talking about them. I'm talking about us. Until Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, Barack Obama, Donald Trump show me that Black Lives Matter, I will never give them a Black vote. If my life don't matter, how the hell my vote gonna matter?
Yeah, that's real talk. But that Sonya Massey incident, man, was heartbreaking, man. Real heartbreaking. But I want to ask you, because you was telling me about it before the interview, Shannon Sharp. Do you feel like he was canceled by the elites?
Wow. Well, what's happening right now, Shannon Sharp, Snow Bunny Shannon Sharp, you know, he has a podcast. And he interviewed Cat Williams, who I think is probably one of the top 3 funniest men alive. And Cat Williams exposed everybody. Shannon Sharp played the whole interview. Before Shannon Sharp interviewed Cat Williams, he interviewed Steve Harvey. And Steve Harvey coming on Shannon Sharp's platform was kind of a big deal. Steve Harvey felt, Oprah felt, D.L. Hughley felt that Shannon Sharp should have been a little bit more protective of the reputations of the persons discussed on his platform. And he was not so when interviewing Cat Williams, and he has not been so when interviewing other people as well. Shannon Sharp broke the Hollywood rule. And what is the Hollywood rule, Art? When you discuss Black celebrities as a celebrity, you never let nobody give up our most intimate secrets. You're supposed to protect our secrets from being exposed to the world. Shannon Sharp, 3-time NFL Super Bowl winner, NFL Hall of Famer, in my opinion, greatest tight end of all time. Shannon Sharp, as a celebrity, Art, is supposed to know better. Shannon, you can't let Cat Williams go in on Steve Harvey. Steve Harvey is an A-list celebrity. You can't let Cat Williams go in on Oprah. Oprah is an A-list celebrity. You can't let Monique go in on Oprah and Steve. They're A-list celebrities. Shannon Sharp broke the one rule that is unforgivable by celebrities in show business. You never expose or reveal our privations and Hollywood secrets to the public. Steve Harvey violated that rule. And as a result of that, a lot of celebrities are being told not to interview with Shannon Sharp. Not Stephen, Shannon Sharp violated the rule. A lot of celebrities are being told not to interview with Shannon Sharp. A lot of his guests are canceling their interviews because they don't want to get blacklisted by Oprah. Who wants to be on the wrong side of Oprah in Hollywood? Who wants to be on the wrong side of Tyler Perry in Hollywood? Who wants to be on the wrong side of Steve Harvey in Hollywood? And as a result of that, Shannon Sharp, here's what I think. I don't think they could cancel Shannon Sharp. You know why? He's too popular with everyday Black people. Shannon Sharp's audience.
He popping now, bitch. You can't block that. And it's not even Cat Williams. It was Monique coming on after. That was the real issue. It was Monique coming on after him. Let's keep it real. It was Cat Williams popped it off. Monique came and sealed it off if they is trying to do something to blackball that boy Shannon Sharp. But man, the niggas already got them gonna view that anyway. If you just had Meg on his shit, you got everybody who Chris. Man, come on. Ain't nobody giving a fuck about that for real. Bitches going to club shit.
Is amongst the people in the community. Don't get me wrong. Shannon Sharpe is bougie. He's not about the grassroots struggle. If he was, he would date black women, and he doesn't. So Shannon Sharpe is not no freedom fighter. Don't get me wrong. But his audience is the everyday black community. So how can Oprah cancel that? How can Tyler cancel that? They can stop him from getting A-list interviews. Oh, you can believe that. They're going to stop him from getting A-list interviews. But I don't think they can stop the momentum of his platform. Congrats to my brother. I like to see black men do well. Shannon Sharpe has one of the more popular platforms. You have one of the more popular platforms. He's going to continue to grow, and I want to continue to see that. And to be honest with you, my advice for Shannon Sharpe, after I tell him he needs to date black women, my advice for Shannon Sharpe, embrace the role as boogeyman. If they want to label Shannon Sharpe the Hollywood boogeyman, embrace it. If I was Shannon Sharpe, I'm not complaining. Oprah, Tyler, DL, Steve, y'all want to make me the Hollywood boogeyman, the black entertainment elite boogeyman? So be it. I'm bringing everybody on here who want to expose y'all secrets since y'all want to get down like that. But he do.
Because he keeps saying DL. And the only people that went against all of them was Monique. Cat Williams told you himself, no DL, usually slander will be tolerated.
You got to be careful though, Art, because you know they play dirty at that level. They play dirty at that level. Oprah, she's in them circles. Tyler, he's probably in them circles. Steve Harvey, he's almost in them circles. So he still got to be safe because he don't want this to turn into something that he can't control. But as I've done, I've embraced my boogeyman status. They want to make me the special education boogeyman. They want to make me the interracial dating boogeyman. They want to make me the white supremacy boogeyman. I'm all for it. But see, my life was always about this. I was an activist since the 4th grade. I'm about this since I was 9. You feel me? Shannon Sharpe ain't no activist. He's very much about his Hollywood privilege. He's very much about his entertainment privilege. I don't live that life. I just so happens I'm an activist who's as popular as an entertainer, but I'm not an entertainer. So the question comes down to how far does Shannon Sharpe want to go? But if I'm Shannon Sharpe, I'm stepping into the role as Black Hollywood boogeyman. And if y'all wanna blacklist me, I'm going to interview everybody who got some tea to spill on y'all nickels. That's how I would come at it. But I don't know if Shannon Sharpe is built like that. The Black elite of the entertainment industry, they want Shannon Sharpe canceled, at least his podcast. You know, they're not saying doing nothing to him personally, but they want the podcast canceled. And I believe they tried to get it taken off YouTube for slanderous accusations and they use Cat Williams content to make a complaint against YouTube that Shannon Sharpe's page should be taken down because he's allowing people to come on there and slander people of high standing in society with baseless allegations and accusations. So he got to be, you know what Shannon got to start doing? He's going to have to start pushing back with some clarifying questions, Art. You know what I mean? Like, you can't just let them go like that if they slandering somebody. You know, you push back. I don't believe Cat Williams told a single lie. I don't think he told a single lie. But you got to push back so you can at least give the appearance of objectivity so they can back up off you a little bit. Because like Shannon said, everybody else on YouTube is talking about y'all. What's the problem with me talking about y'all?
The pass usually is for them because they comedians. When you interview a comedian, they usually get passed because it's like comedy. Ha ha, I'm just comedian. That usually be their passes. So I don't know why the fuck they could do that. Like I said, I don't think it was Cat Williams. I definitely believe it was more Monique shit than Cat. Yeah.
You know what the problem is, Shannon? You were part of the entertainment elite. You're not supposed to be exposing the other Black entertainers. You follow me? Shannon Sharpe, it would be okay if you was doing that, Art. You're not a part of the entertainment elite. You are a part of the entertainment elite, Shannon. You're not supposed to behave like that. Shannon Sharpe broke the rules, bro. You can't break them rules. And now he may not never get another big name You know, he was on his way to getting everybody. But life after Cat Williams for Shannon Sharpe might be quite different than life before Cat Williams. Yeah, I think he'll survive it, though. I think he'll survive it because he has a strong Black community following. Ain't nothing they can do with that. Even if YouTube kick him off, he could go on another platform and bring his millions over there. I think he good. He's just going to lose out on some of them big interviews he wanted to get, but it'll blow over. You know what I mean? He can still get some of them big names, but it might take him 2 years now. He ain't getting them interviews next month. I can tell you that.
On your shit.
BET Awards, man. I want to get your opinion on BET Awards, man. Do you think the BET Awards show Black people in a bad light?
I didn't watch it because I'm usually disgusted. All I see with the BET Awards, like all I've seen from hip hop these past 50 years, or most of these past 50 years, at least the past 30, is a showcase of conspicuous consumption, European buffoonery, sexual exploitation, sexual objectification, Black on Black male violence. The worst aspects of Black America are glamorized and popularized by hip hop and by the BET Awards. I don't watch it, and I wouldn't want my child to watch it. And it just bothers me that Black people are still helping white people make us look like a fool. Bob Johnson sold BET to Viacom for $2 billion 24 years ago, I believe it was. So BET is a white corporation that specializes in making Black people looking like idiots. And I'm sick and tired of us participating in it. So I didn't watch it. I couldn't tell you what happened. I know that they celebrated OJ, and I'm not against that because
who still even watches BET? Like, who still watches TV? I don't even watch TV. I be right here on the computer, on YouTube, on my phone, on YouTube, on Instagram. Nobody even. I don't watch TV. Cancel your fucking cable, man. Don't take that TV off your spectrum, man. Cancel that shit.
because you're celebrating a man's talent. But to Stephen A. Smith's point, and I do agree with Stephen A. Smith on this point, you know, OJ never claimed to be back. He's claimed to be Black. He said, I'm not Black, I'm OJ. Okay, which was definitely a smack in our faces because he came crawling back to us when he had to go on trial. So I do agree with Stephen A. Smith. You're celebrating someone who's never really had the Black community's back. But don't we always celebrate people who never had the Black community's back? I mean, how many people have been celebrated by the NAACP, the Urban League, BET, Source Awards, who never did anything for their community? So although Stephen A. Smith is correct that O.J. Simpson really didn't deserve it, none of them have really deserved it. But I would disagree with Stephen A. Smith when he says O.J. should not have been celebrated because he was put on trial for the I keep forgetting her name now. Nicole Brown Simpson. Because he went on trial for the murder of Nicole Brown Simpson, he should not have been celebrated. I'm going to disagree with Stephen A. Smith on that because O.J. was found innocent. You can't publicly convict a man.
Did you know that in Texas, rifles can be carried in public without a license? Whereas in Florida, no open carrying is allowed, except in unique situations like in hunting or fishing. Hi, I'm R.N.R, a Pro 2A attorney with over 2 million YouTube subscribers. I'm always a little...
Who was acquitted in a court of law, Stephen A. Smith. That's not fair. That is called double jeopardy. You're going to try him twice. You're trying him a second time in the public arena when the man was already found innocent in the courtroom, the legal arena. So I would disagree with Stephen A. Smith on that note. But the BET Awards, much of Black culture isn't anything to celebrate. I mean, the reality shows, the shoot 'em up series. I see my brother 50 Cent has his new movie studio in Shreveport, Louisiana. Shout out to 50 Cent. He reached out to Tyler Perry for mentorship. That's going to be a powerful collaboration. But my question to Tyler Perry and 50 Cent is real simple. My question to Tyler Perry and 50 Cent is real simple. And it's the same question I had for the Hughes brothers. It's the same question I had for my man John Singleton, rest in peace, before he joined the Ancestors. When are you Black film producers, show producers, when are you going to start putting out some racially empowering and culturally affirming material? That's my question to Tyler. That's my question to 50 Cent? Are you going to keep on giving us Raising Canaan? Or are you going to keep on giving us BMF? Don't get me wrong. Very well written, very well put together, excellent cinematography, excellent storylines, but it's all black on black crime. It's all black on black crime. Are you going to give us a story on the Haitian Revolution? Are you going to give us a story on the most honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey, the greatest black organizer of all time, greatest human organizer of all time? Give us a story on Ida B. Wells. Give us Fannie Lou Hamer movie. Give us black people rising up, organizing, taking back their communities, and fighting against racism. Tyler Perry, 50 Cent, Oprah Winfrey. Can you please give us some racially empowering, culturally affirming material? I'm proud of 50, proud of Tyler, but please give us something that our children can watch.
Yeah, that's real talk, man. But how you feel about the Supreme Court overturning affirmative action?
Wow. You know, when I disagree with Deion Sanders' move to the University of Colorado from Jackson State, Mississippi, shout out to my Jackson family. I might be getting a school down there for FDMG soon, God willing. But when he made that move to Colorado, a lot of people didn't understand my criticism. Well, guess what, Art? They say hindsight is always 20/20 vision. Well, the U.S. Supreme Court struck down affirmative action for higher education. So now, white schools don't have to have a certain amount of black students in them. You no longer have a racial quota for black students. So if you think the University of Colorado with 2% black students ain't got no black students, Art, guess how many black students you're going to have at the University of Colorado now? You might have 5 of them. And guess what? That affirmative action strike down, Art, also applies to the HBCU. So now they're threatening to sue Howard University Medical School if they find out they letting less qualified black candidates in over more qualified brown, yellow, whites, and reds. Did you hear what I just said? They're telling historically black colleges that were founded after slavery to educate black children because of discrimination. The HBCU was created because of discrimination.
Right.
And now they're telling the HBCU that if you give black students preferential admission at a black college, if you give black students preferential admission at a black college, we will sue you and bankrupt your HBCU into non-existence. So what am I saying about Deion Sanders now, Art? I'm saying that the power structure had Deion Sanders transferred out of HBCU Jackson State because they knew the Supreme Court would overturn affirmative action in higher education admissions policies. And that would have forced Deion Sanders to stand up and use his fame, his popularity, and his name to fight for the HBCU. And they knew that the affirmative action decision by the Supreme Court would deal a direct blow to the survival of HBCUs and keeping the HBCUs predominantly black. So they got Deion Sanders the hell out of there before the fallout. This was all strategy. They did it on purpose. If Deion Sanders was still in Jackson State, he would have been forced to fight for HBCUs. So they got him up out of there, Art. And now, brother, now that an HBCU can't give a black student preferential admission, do you know what that means, bruh? Do you know what that means? That an HBCU cannot give a black student preferential treatment. I'm going to tell you what it means. HBCUs are going to start becoming PWIs. HBCUs are going to start becoming predominantly white. Guess what else they're going to start becoming? Predominantly Latino. Guess what else they're going to start becoming? Predominantly East Indian, especially if Kamala Harris gets in office. They're going to become predominantly Native American, predominantly Asian, brother. That Supreme Court higher education decision to end affirmative action and admissions for colleges may have broke the backbone of the HBCU. And they want me to vote for Kamala Harris when she sat there and let Joe Biden rename the White House initiatives on HBCUs to the White House initiative to minority serving institutions. They changed it, Art. It's been HBCU forever. It's been HBCU. Now they don't call it that. Now it's the White House initiative on minority serving institutions. They want to kill the HBCU because if you kill the HBCU, you kill the black middle class. If you kill the black middle class, we ain't got no black doctors. We ain't got no black lawyers. We ain't got no black architects, no black engineers, no black psychologists. They want to crush the HBCU to crush Black America.
Terrible, man. But speaking of Dion, you think he leaving after this year?
This year is going to dictate Dion's.
Man, fuck Dion, nigga. You heard what the fuck he just said? I know you just doing your job, but goddamn, nigga, what? Shit. And niggas just be out here sleeping, though. I don't even know what the fuck they like playing for your jits, nigga.
Future. Me personally, I think Dion want to milk this hustle for about 5 years, maybe 3. He got 1 done. I'll say 2 more, and then he wants to go to the NFL. I think Deion Sanders wants to end up being the coach of the Dallas Cowboys. That's what I think the plan is. But there's a lot of white power out there who don't like seeing a bold, brash, unapologetic black man stunt the way Deion does. And so I think the forces that be are going to try to sabotage his upcoming season. This season is going to be pivotal as to whether or not Deion Sanders stays at Colorado, moves to the NFL, or gives up coaching altogether.
I can see that happening. But I got to ask you about personal immunity. What you think about that, man?
The Supreme Court, to help Donald Trump, because he appointed about 2 or 3 of them, right? They voted that a sitting U.S. president has absolute immunity from any decisions or actions he carries out in the fulfillment of his constitutionally protected duties. You know what that means? Nothing a sitting president does to black people, if he does it in the act of office, can he be criminally prosecuted for it? And this is what I'm going to say to you, Art. I don't think they put that in place unless they plan on doing some real terrible things to black people. Do you feel me? I don't think that they didn't do that just to save Donald Trump from going to jail. They didn't do that just to save Donald Trump from prosecution. Because remember, that decision will hold for every president in perpetuity. If Kamala wins, she has absolute immunity. So this ain't just about Donald Trump. This is about the U.S. president at a time when they're trying to get rid of black people, at a time when they've made so many people take the COVID vaccination. I believe part of the presidential immunity has to do with the COVID vaccination, all the people who died from it, and all the new diseases they're about to come out with. Remember, Bill Gates said there's going to be another epidemic worse than COVID. Bill Gates said there's another epidemic coming worse than COVID. So they need the presidential immunity in place to make sure the president cannot be held accountable for all the mass casualties that are going to happen, God forbid, with this next epidemic or any other campaign of destruction against American people or the American African people. Oh, they getting ready, brother. They getting ready. I don't care who wins the White House. It's going to be hell for black people in the next election. So we all need to be going to Chicago August 19th, brother.
Did you know that in Texas, rifles can be carried in public without a license? Whereas in Florida, no open carrying is allowed, except in unique situations like in hunting or fishing. Hi, I'm R.N.R, a Pro 2A attorney.
All of Black America, I'm serious, 50 million Africans. And when I say African, I'm not leaving out my immigrant brothers and sisters. 50 million American Africans need to descend on Chicago, Illinois. We need to protest. We need to march. We need to disrupt Democratic Party convention sessions. Because, brother, whoever gets that next White House, these next 8 years for black folks, is going to be hell. I'm going to give you a prediction, Art. We will celebrate the bicentennial of the Nat Turner Revolution on my birthday, August the 21st, 2031. 2031 is the bicentennial from 1831. We are in 2024. We have 7 years. That's basically the next 2 presidential terms. Those next 7 years will dictate whether or not black people in America become a permanent underclass. If we don't fix this in the next 7 critical years, the next 2 presidential administrations, we may be a permanent underclass, brother. So the Democratic Convention in Chicago is not just about Chicago. It's mainly about Chicago, but it's not just about Chicago. Philly, Baltimore, Miami, Detroit, Milwaukee, Omaha, Jackson, Mississippi, Little Rock, Dallas, Houston, Phoenix, Oakland, LA, Portland, Seattle, every black person, Brooklyn, Hartford, Connecticut, Providence, Rhode Island, we need to descend on Chicago like the Democratic Party has never seen. We need a protest and a disruption. We're going to have to disrupt that convention and force ourselves onto that convention floor like Bobby Seale did in 68 and like Fannie Lou Hamer did. What year did Fannie Lou Hamer do that at the Atlantic City Convention in 64? Fannie Lou Hamer did it in 64. Chairman Bobby Seale of the Black Panther Party did it in 68. And Black America needs to do it in 2024. I'm telling you, we cannot sit by and let them come to Chicago and not deal with the migrant crisis, not deal with miseducation, not deal with police brutality. The time is now.
Well said, man. The time is now. You're right about that. How you feel about Kobe dad passing away, Joe Bryant?
I think it's tragic, brother. And it's funny because Power 99, the station, is in Bala Kenwood, which is right near Lower Merion. So I was right in Kobe's neighborhood. And of course, I've evaluated children at Lower Merion High School. So I've been in Kobe's alma mater. It's sad. His father died at 69. It's kind of young, Art. 69, an NBA legend. I think he died of a broken heart. I don't know the details. I'm just speculating. But for an NBA legend to be dead at 69, I ain't hear nobody say he had no chronic medical disease or nothing. I think the man died of a broken heart. He might have died of poverty. Here's my question for Vanessa. Are you going to pay for that man's homegoing ceremony? And don't get me wrong, I believe Shaquille O'Neal.
People die from broken hearts. That's a real thing.
O'Neal and a lot of Kobe's friends and other stars, they're going to make sure his father get put away right. I absolutely believe that. But Vanessa, I believe you have an obligation to see to it that Kobe's father gets put away right. Are you going to do that? But let's take it a step further, Art. Kobe's mother. Kobe's mother is still walking. She's still with us. Vanessa Bryant, are you going to take care of Kobe's mom? Kobe's gone. His father's gone. What about his mom? Now, I understand she bought his sister an automobile, but an automobile, that ain't nothing. You can go buy an automobile. You can buy an automobile. Or are you going to take care of his mother? That's my question for Vanessa Bryant. And I'm going to be honest with you, Art. I'm disappointed in the NBA and the retired NBA players because I can't believe nobody is calling her to task in her neglect of Kobe Bryant's parents. That man left her a sizable estate, man, a sizable estate. And I don't hear any of these NBA players saying like, listen, we're not trying to get in your business, but Kobe was our brother. You inherited his estate. Those are his parents. You would have never even met him because he would have never even be here if they didn't create him. You owe it to them and you owe it to him to take care of his parents. You know, I don't hear nobody saying that. Now, you and I both know if a black woman inherited a white man's estate and he had some old white parents, white folks would be all over the media shaming them. All over the media shaming them. But because Kobe Bryant's parents are black, Vanessa's not black, nobody's coming to his family's defense. I just hope they stand up for Kobe's mom. You know, I'm not a big fan of Shaquille O'Neal. I think he tends to coon a little bit too much, but Shaq got a good heart. And I believe Shaq is probably going to personally take care of Kobe's mom because Shaq, he got a good heart. And I just think he's that kind of a guy. You know what I mean? But it's Vanessa's responsibility to do it. So my question to Vanessa, Brian, are you or are you not going to take care of Kobe's mom?
That's just type of nigga Shaq.
Yeah, I hope she does. I mean, Joe Bryant, he passed away. So, you know, the mom is all by herself. So, yeah, I hope she reaches out.
But it goes back to the bunny hop, brother Art. You know, I keep see. Here's the thing, brother Art. People need to understand the 3 fundamental rules of racism. This is why we get all caught up in not understanding the behavior of Caucasians because we don't understand the 3 fundamental rules of racism. Rule number 1, Art: all white people are racist. All white people are racist. There's no Caucasian on earth who's not racist. But don't confuse that with bigotry. Not all white people are bigots, but all white people are racist. What is the difference? Bigotry means I hate you. Bigotry, black people are monkeys. Bigotry, you know, Africans deserve to be underdeveloped. Bigotry, black people are half monkey. Bigotry is calling you the N-word. Bigotry is an emotional detachment, an emotional attachment to the destruction of another people. That's bigotry. An emotional attachment to the destruction of another people. Racism is not that. Racism is an emotional attachment to your in-group's control and power over resources, opportunities, and privileges. Let me say that one more time. Racism is about the control of resources, opportunities, and privileges. It has nothing to do with calling black people the N-word. It has nothing to do with believing black people are inferior to you. It has nothing to do with wanting to kill black people or shoot them or hang them from.
For example, if you got a job and certain people lie on your name, or just do anything to get you up out of somewhere because they can and they don't like you or your type. Racism. Stopping your opportunity, your money, your income.
Trees. The KKK, they're bigots. They want to hurt and harm black people. That's bigotry. And if you're a bigot, you're automatically a racist. But you can be a racist and not be a bigot. This is why we don't understand racism. This is why we don't understand these white women who are marrying all these black celebrities. They're still racist.
Right.
They just are dating and sleeping with one black person. They still don't like other black people. You see? But when white people dance with us, when they have sex with us, when they carry out babies, when they marry us, when they work with us, when they employ us, when they hire us, we think they're not racist. Racism has nothing to do with hatred. That's bigotry. Racism is about control, domination, monopolization. Racism simply says, I want all white people to control the jobs. I want all white people to control the banks. I want all white people to control the school system, the economy. They want control of resources, privileges, and opportunities. That's all racism is, Art. And our people have a very poor understanding of racism versus bigotry. And that's why we are always constantly falling victim to racism.
Well said. Candace Owens, how you feel about her saying that Kamala, she slept her way to the top?
She may have. Kamala may have slept her way to the top. But don't most people in entertainment, and I do consider politics a form of entertainment because they lie and put on acts just as much as other people did. You know, but my thing with Kamala isn't the fact she slept her way to the top, because that's her business, quite honestly. My problem with Kamala is publicly. You incarcerated plenty of black people with no remorse. Publicly, you chose to dedicate your life to a white man, meaning you couldn't find a single black man on earth to commit yourself to. And I don't think we realize the symbolism of the snow bunny. The symbolism of the snow bunny is you're telling black people, none of you are good enough to be with me. That's the message. See, the white woman for the black man is his white surrender flag. You know how when you give up in a war, you wave the white flag?
Right.
Well, the black man waves the white woman. We wave the white woman, and that's our way of telling the world that I identify with white people. I'm on the side of the white power structure. I am American to the core. See, the white woman tells the white man everything he needs to know about the black man that she's with. I walk in with a white woman, I don't have to clarify my politics. I don't have to tell them if I'm a revolutionary or a nationalist, if I'm on the side of the black community, if I care about black children, if I care about what's happening to black women, if I care about police genocide. Art, they don't have to ask me no questions on black politics. If I'll show up with a white woman, they know I don't care about black women. They know I don't care about the black community. They know I don't care about black children. They know I don't care about black institutions. That's why for most black men, the white woman is the greatest thing that ever happened to them, because that white woman is his admission ticket. The white woman for the bunny hopping black man is his admission ticket into white society. And you know, they just make jokes about it. And Dr. Umar with the interracial, are we really looking at the fact that black boys are losing heterosexual,
go to wrong place.
Black on black love couples to look up to? Black on black love is becoming an endangered species because we keep on dating, mating, and marrying outside of our community. Are we thinking about all these black boys and how they won't see men loving on black women? Are we thinking about all these black girls who won't see men loving on black women? We are committing genocide. That's what we're doing. We're committing our own genocide. Black men and black women now, and black women out here marrying white on purpose to lighten up their descendancy. They don't want their grandkids to look like them. Absolute insanity. And for these black women who think it's going to be better for them, it's not. Or you see that one sister, she was a reality show star, and her white husband divorced her. I forget her name. And she got to pay him $13,000 a month, bro. The court said he's entitled to live the same lifestyle he had with her. They don't even have children, bro. They don't even have children, and she's paying him more money than some celebrities are paying their spouses who they had children with. Black women better stop. These white men will marry you, divorce you, and take you to court, just like the snow bunnies is doing to the brothers. It works either way. You're not going to win. If you got to divorce a white person, white privilege is going to kick in for them. White racism is going to kick in for you, and you're going to lose. I bet you that sister wish she married a black man now. How much you want to bet? I bet you she wish she married a black. You giving that white man $13,000 a month, Art. And guess what he going to do? Trick all that money off with snow bunnies. He going to trick all that black woman's money off with snow. It don't pay, bro. I'm not against nobody. I don't hate nobody. Much respect to white women. Much respect to Latinos. Much respect to the Asians, the Arabs, the East Indians. Much respect to all of them, bro. But I am for my people. Just like when I stood up and said, I'm not going to speak on the Palestinian-Israeli conflict, except to say that I don't want to see nobody lose their life. I don't want to see the Palestinians lose their life. I don't want to see the Israelis lose their life. I don't want to see the women die, children die, elders die. But I'm fighting for black people. That's not my fight. That's not my fight. Because the longest running humanitarian crisis in the world is the Congo. And then you got Haiti, you got Sudan, you got Ethiopia. And you want me to take attention off of Haiti. You want me to take attention off the Congo. You want me to take the attention off Sudan and Ethiopia and focus on Darfur, Palestine? I'm not going to do that. I wish them well. But them people don't fight for Congo. They don't fight for Haiti. They don't fight for Sudan. They don't fight for Ethiopia. African crisis never get the attention that the Middle East get. It never gets the attention that Israel gets. And you think I'm going to stop fighting for black people to go and fight for white and brown people who don't fight for me? I wish them the best. But if there's any crying and any fighting that's going to be done for me, by me, it's going to be done in the interest of African people. Black queens forever. Snow bunnies never.
Well said, man. And I like that quote too, man. You might want to get that trademark before somebody take it. So before we end the interview, man, instead of me asking you your top 5 rappers of all time, what is your...
I'm going to give them to you, though. Give me that. Give me that.
Dividends
My top 5 rappers. These are not in order. Okay? Tupac is my favorite of all time.
Next week,
okay? I want to make that my personal favorite is Tupac Shakur. Now, if you say, okay, Tupac is your favorite, Doc, who are your personally favorite artists of all time? I'm going to go Naughty by Nature. I'm going to go Public Enemy. I'm going to go The Lox, D-Block, Jadakiss, Styles, and P.
Okay. Lox.
Okay.
LOX.
That's who I like to listen to personally. You feel me?
Right, absolutely.
Personally. Now, if you say who the 5 greatest lyricists of all time, I'm going to give you Big Daddy. These are not in order. Big Daddy Kane, Rakim, KRS-One, LL Cool J, and Cool G Rap. I believe, and I'm going to say this, and I believe this with all my heart.
That's his motherfucker.
If you put Big Daddy Kane, KRS-One, Rakim, LL Cool J, and Cool G Rap against everybody else who in the current now, let's say all the rappers living today, Lil Wayne, Jay-Z, everybody, against them 5 deadly venoms, they tear their asses apart. You're not beating them 5 in a group battle. A group battle. You got Chris.
I'm done with this nigga. I don't even want to finish that. All right, you know what it is, man. I don't even want to hear what the fuck this nigga said. Y'all know, nah, but tripping. Especially when you said Lil Wayne, you definitely tripping. That nigga tripping. And what make it so that that's his generation though, man. I ain't gonna knock him, but he just swirled on that one. I gotta shut. Hey, we shutting that shit off. Hey, I do music. We not even gonna have that. I'm gonna tell you right now, bro. You talk about all the rappers out now with them 5. The game has advanced to so much of a level. You can't even say no shit like that, especially bringing up Lil Wayne, man. Talk about all a group battle against that shit sound retarded, man. I like saying that much of that to say that bullshit. Anyway, Home Eat TV. This is another real nigga reaction here. You know what I'm saying? On Hustlers on a Mission Every Day television. I am capital. Whatever you do, make sure you do it capital. And go to dividendsapparel.com, you know what I'm saying? Do it capital, create a positive impact today and later. You know what I'm saying? Fuck them haters. Get your motherfucking paper straight like that. Hey, man. Keep it positive, man. Stay out the people's face, man. Stay free. Do your thing. Take care of your people, man. Take care of the motherfucking ones. Love you. Love yours.